Hello, everybody. Good afternoon and happy Friday. Welcome to Virtue Gaming and their Twitch channel, where we are live for this best of three winners finals in the Unified Masters League. My name is Moose, and I'm joined here today by TDS. TDS, it's been like a month since I've casted with you before, and it's like right back where we started from. More Virtue Gaming ambition.
Good old days, good old times, good old domination. Last time it was a 3-0, if I'm not wrong.
You're
So
right.
hopefully, well, we're on their Twitch channel, so we can be a little bit biased. Hopefully, they can perform and do it once again.
Right. You say it right. We can be a little bit biased here. We are referring, of course, to the Victorious Triumph series, where they did end up taking the first place finish in that league. And riding high off of that, they are now looking to be able to potentially have the chance at the lion's share of the $6,000-ish prize pool that Unified is putting out for this tournament. Masters plus level players with a 200 LP hard cap. These players should know what they're doing. We should be having a really fun, very exciting best of three with both teams performing very well in the regular season and the playoffs. This battle will determine who gets a guaranteed spot. Now, looking at the bans really quick, some pretty I think common bans that we're seeing right now in 12.14. We've got the Homeless Grads over on the blue side. They've decided to pick up the Sivir in their first pick, and they're going to pair it up with some more early game in the Olaf and the Karma.
Interestingly enough, going for the Olaf and the Karma, I really like the Olaf and the Karma particularly paired up together. Sivir as well, because it gives that movement speed boost that to just move around and be able to run into certain targets. And against a lot of CC, but especially a carry that is not going to be that mobile, I think a pretty good idea to go with the Olaf. The thing is now with the Draven, I'm expecting to see BGA try and put a lot of pressure down in the bot lane. We have seen, I think, quite a bit of highlights coming from the major leagues, from the pro play, from PG, just playing off of the Draven, and we can see how strong he can be if he gets that early snowball. So I'm expecting BGA to go off of that.
Right. And composition right now for VGA is relatively flexible. Poppy can go into the top lane and
Yep.
into the jungle. Talia can go into the mid lane or into the jungle. Draven, of course, is going to be committed to the ADC role, but you do now have the opportunity to play a little bit more flexible depending on what the B4 and the B5 pick for Homeless Grads are. It is what I like to see in teams when they do have a red side. You want to be able to get the best counters possible for as many lanes as possible. And right now, Virtua Gaming Ambition is trying to ban out some of the top tier top laners that we have been seeing in 12.14. The Gnar has been making such a resurgence recently. The Aurelia is going to get locked out as well. And interestingly enough, Homeless Grads, they are worried about the Renata and the power of that bailout. They're going to ban that out along with the Blitzcrank.
With that idea, I think that
Or
it's pretty
Gangplank.
smart. Yeah, with that idea, I think it's pretty smart to take away the Renata because of the bailout, like you're pointing out. In bot lane, early devils can be quite strong, especially for a Draven that will try to fight early on. So I feel like it's a smart idea. Now, the ultimate doesn't necessarily work against the Olaf because of the Ragnarok, but I think that it's a pretty good bet to take away the Renata just because of how dangerous it can end up being with the Draven. Now, the Nami is taken here. I was expecting either Blitzcrank or Pyke to be the options because of how well they synergize with the Draven, but you can still get some bit of damage or some good amount of burst thanks to how Nami's passive work and how you can buff up the Draven. I think for a high school grad still, I think they are going to try and focus a bit of scaling in the mid lane and then a potential engaged tank in the top lane. Ideally, something like Norn, like Korn, could be quite good, especially because they already banned a lot of the champions that maybe pretty dangerous for him. And if not, I can see them allocating the Olaf towards the top lane and then going for a much more traditional carry, a much more traditional jungler. But it's still the Gwen, so I respect the idea overall.
Yeah, and even then, the Olaf and the Gwen they can also switch up
Yep.
depending on what this B or this R5 pick is going to be. You can put the Gwen into the jungle. It is a little bit harder to pilot. You do have a little bit less room for error, especially in the early game. And so you do have to potentially worry about that for sure. And Virtue Gaming Ambition is once again deciding to go with a little bit more adaptability and a lot of displacement coming in with that Gragas. Now, Gragas, Poppy, and Talia, you have three champions that can flex into the jungle. So the opportunity
Yep.
for VGA to still adapt moving into the drafting phase is still there.
And luckily for them, it's not like they have someone that will straight up be able to deny some of these AP champions because their CC not only has some sort of long range, but you can get it on quite a few of the champions quite easily thanks to how they pilot and how they move. They also, BGA, I think a pretty important thing that I like is that they have a pretty straightforward way of engaging, but it's not like they have to commit for engages. They have great disengage as well. And I think that against something like homeschool,
Homeless grads.
homeless grads. Yeah, it's that I didn't like the word homeless. It feels so bad to say it, but it's okay. Homeless grads. The thing that I don't like about their comics is that they're pretty forced to commit in a way. When their ultimates are down, particularly on the Wen, the Olaf, and the Sivir, it's not like they have straightforward go buttons that they can rely on consistently. And if their ultimates are down, if they already went for an engage and they didn't succeed, then longer fights, I can see BGA just waiting a bit on their time, then re-engaging with a flashing from the Gragas or the Poppy, and that can just make team fights really, really dangerous for Homeless Grats. So I feel like this is going to be a pretty good game for BGA with their comp, and if they can snowball, it's pretty hard as well to stop them. I think the only one that I can have hope to stop the side of BGA if they snowball heavily, it's the Olaf and the Gwen.
Take right here is that this game is going to get decided at around the 18 to 20 minute mark
Ooh,
when
okay.
all of the champions are going to have 2 to 3 items. That is when, Draven is absolutely monstrous. Talia is going to be insane. Sivir should be pretty strong. Victor should be okay. And Gwen should be online as well. I think for Homeless Grads, like, you get to the 22, 23, 24 minute mark, and then things start to really become a problem with just how powerful Talia and Draven can come with the damage that they provide. The same thing with the Nami as well. Nami Tidal Wave can make the difference between winning and losing a
True.
team fight if it is utilized effectively. The same thing with that explosive cask, but at a little bit of a lesser degree. You do have opportunities to displace with the Keeper's Verdict from the Poppy as well as the explosive cast from the Gragas, but it's going to be the tidal wave. How well you can use that to stop the engage tools, like you discussed from Homeless Grads. Once they lose those engage tools, once Ragnarok is down, Virtua Gaming Ambition is going to win team fights 9 out of 10 times. So we're really looking to see, I think, how well Nami is going to be able to play moving into this point. And if they're able to get to the 18 to 20 minute mark without giving up too much in terms of objective and gold control, Olaf and Karma are going to be a nuisance in the early stages of the game, allowing for those dragons and allowing for maybe even a first Rift Herald to drop. If you can kind of mitigate that damage in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the game, Virtua Gaming Ambition is going to start to really take control of when and where they want to take fights. So really, really excited to see how Virtua Gaming is going to play this one out. Like we discussed, major implications on the outcome of the Unified Masters League. If
Yeah.
VGA or Homeless Grads are able to win this one, they get a guaranteed spot in the grand finals. Now, UML is a double elimination bracket, so even if you lose out here, you do have a best of 5 that you can go into for the losers finals to then get yourself back on track and go into the grand finals. But better to win now in the best of 3 than have to worry about losing next week.
100%. You'd rather just be secured in the grand finals. Like they always say, failing means that you can learn from that and try and get and improve over it. But there's also a pretty popular saying in football that it's easier to try and correct things when you don't have to fear about getting eliminated. So I think that it's a pretty obvious situation where you can just win and then try and correct things. I think it's better to try and opt into that. And I feel like BGA is a team that is capable of performing like that. Even this game, we're talking about some early advantages that Homeless Grads can try and play around of. But I think that even they come at around the 10-minute mark, 15-minute mark, they have strong enough champions that some avenues can be fine to try and fight out. So I'm expecting to see how they can perform, how they can go in the game. And another thing that I want to add, Draven in this game has, apart from Wen that has the invulnerability in her W, and then Olaf that is going to be a bit tankier than the rest. There's a lot. These champions can be killed quite quickly. So if Draven gets a pretty nice start, or not even a pretty nice start, but two items can be really, really strong to try and shred some of these targets.
Totally agree. And, we won't know if the Draven is going to be able to make that happen, or if Virgin Gaming
Yep.
Ambition is able to have a decent enough early game to give them the momentum to win in the late game. We're going to find out, though, very, very soon, as we're going to take a quick break. We are in the spectator delay now. When we return, we're going to get into the game. Before we go, TDS, I got to ask you, Dragon
Oh.
Soul predictions for game one. I will tell you, recently I have been seeing an absolute mountain of mountain drakes.
Yeah, I feel like PG has had quite a bit of those watching some of the matches that have happened recently. I'm gonna go for Fire. I love Fire, so I'll take Infernal this time around.
Infernal, I think we're going to start off really, really quickly. I think we're going to be seeing a Cloud Drake here in game one.
Okay.
Chat, let us know what you guys think of the drafts. What do you guys think the Dragon and Rift is going to be here for game number one? When we return, we're going to get into the action. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. right, everybody, welcome back. We are here, Moose and TDS, for the first game of this best of three in the Unified Masters League. TDS, I mean, it's fun to get Masters level play. What do you think, like, in your opinion, like, you've been watching a lot of Proving Grounds from what you were talking about. What's the difference between a Masters level team and say like a Proving Grounds level team? What's the secret sauce the Master team or that the PG team has?
I feel like you can make so many good arguments for quite a bit of things. Like there's mechanics involved, there's a macro play involved, there's even micro that it's not necessarily going to mechanics, but just the way that they try to space themselves into auto attack. Well, I think that is included in mechanics, but I feel like that could be a separate segment in a way. But you have those three things, then you have the way that they play over timers, their drafting, because that's one thing that for example, watching the only upset that happened in PG with AoE Ginger Turmeric
Oh
so
yeah.
far. Like one thing that I was super impressed with them is that they realized that drafting against these teams was much more meaningful, and the patch they got over with the patch strengths, so they make it so that the early game didn't matter that much. They had a controller game, and then with a better draft they just won in the later stages. And I feel like that's something that an amateur team and an academy team do have over these master tier teams. So those combinations of things, and you can clearly see when they try and go against a higher rated team how they may outperform themselves in some ways.
Fair enough. That's a good analysis there, talking about, you know, how the very minute details can be the difference between winning and losing the game. And I especially agree with the draft. I've talked about it all year long. It is games can be decided in draft. If you do not draft correctly, you can lose games. And let's go ahead and take a look at the drafts that we've got here from both teams. Over on the blue side, you've got the Homeless Grads. Got Lil Nate gonna be playing as that Gwen in the top lane. Interestingly enough, no flash. It is a ghost teleport Gwen here in game one, with Savi-T, of course, with the ghost on that Olaf. Got Platypus gonna be playing as the Victor with Arsenals, and Project Panda as the Sivir Karma there in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, over on the red side, that is Virtue Gaming Ambition. 67 going to be playing as that Gragas in the top lane. No High Dylan going to be playing as the Poppy in the jungle. Number 2 Ginger is going to be playing as that Talia in the mid lane with Lokidosi. And Phoenix Main going to be playing as that Draven Nami there in the bottom lane. Now, when we were talking about the drafts recently, or before we got into the game, it felt like both of us agreed that it is this bottom lane matchup between Lokidosi and Arsenals that could potentially be the deciding factor here, not only in the early game, but in the entirety of this contest.
Yeah, and it's how the draft allows you to set up certain things that you can see the kind of context that we just saw, right? Because as we were just talking about the players, Red Buff was stolen from the Olaf by the Poppy. And it was all thanks to pushing lanes that set up accordingly for the Poppy to be able to be aggressive. And the Olaf cannot respond because no lane is in position. Now they will spot the Olaf, they know that he's on topside. And it all comes from the idea of the draft, the idea of the champions, how you will play around them, and the setups that we were talking about as well.
Yeah, and very importantly there, was 67 was able to recognize that Savi-T was going to go in for that play. And now both teams know that Olaf is on the top side of the rift. And what is the response to that? You saw a lot of aggression coming in from Arsenals and Project Panda. They wanted to be able to push that wave out so they can get the earlier reset. But it also forced Dylan to decide to go towards those Raptors, wanted to make sure that they were able to clear out the entirety of their jungle. Now, when those jungle camps get reset, it's going to be about an even time. Instead of going for the gank, trying to make sure that you're going to be able to get that golden experience in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
And I think importantly as well to point out with the Poppy, the fact that the Poppy went for the Raptors over there, it also minimizes the time that she has to spend towards the topside. Because realistically, you don't want to spend a lot of time in the topside if you're the Poppy. You want to play for bot lane, you want to play for this Raven, you want to play for this Noble potential. and being able to clean up the top lane jungle as fast as possible, or at least take the timer off of the camps as soon as you can mean that you can play off of your bot lane much more. So I really like at least that idea of the Poppy, and I want to see her being aggressive because we already have the first back. Yes, it's no necessarily Derek like we've seen in professional play with the Draven at 5 minutes, but it is quite a strong point for the Draven, and it will mean quite a bit of damage. Ooh, danger.
Just a little bit of the classic Chaos Storm going to get dropped as Dylan is going to be able to get the heroic charge, and the flash onto Arsenal's going to be down to less than 100 HP, but will be able to flash away. Dylan still wants the kill, though, onto this Sivir. It is going to try to force him out of the lane. A big gank, the heroic charge, the flash forward, and the penguin dab. First blood going over to VGA.
The only thing I can question over that play, or not question, but I kind of would have loved to see much better, is Draven opting for the flash early on. But oh wait.
Yeah, Nate is going to get hit by the explosive cast because the needlework does get used.
Ooh,
67 has to flash away. Little Nate really retaliating there.
And that's the thing that we know from the win. Forces out the flash. It's still not a super bad situation for the Gragas, because you could be in a much worse spot. You could have died, which would have been the worst part of everything. But it's still a pretty good trade from the win, and that's the kind of thing that you always have to be fearful about the win. Her damage is simply something that you cannot scoff at, and she did take a pretty good trade, even with the Gragas being the one that initiated it. But all in all, BJ is still happy. They get first blood, they get first dragon now potentially, and yes, it didn't go to the Draven, but they did also deny some farm from the Sivir. So all in all, I think taking a pretty good advantage on their side.
Yeah, I mean, we have to continue the development here. Is, what did Saviti get in response? It was...
Oh, do they know?
A red buff, as number 2 Ginger is going to be able to see Saviti in the area. Ragnarok is going to get used. Number 2 Ginger going to be forced to flash away. Dylan still at about a decent amount of health as we get the gravity well getting used. Dylan's going to be able to pick up the second kill of this game, and it is going to be up against the Olaf red buff secured as Dylan is now in trouble. Dylan is going to fall as Platypus is now looking to potentially be able to pick up a kill for themselves. 67 bailing out number 2 Ginger, saying, no way, Jose, you're picking up 2. It's a 1-for-1 in the jungle.
I really don't think they wanted to try and re-engage, but it is a 1-for-1. Importantly, Poppy wasn't level 6, meanwhile the Olaf was. And I think that is small level thief, as well as just having that pressure from the hammer of the Poppy could have changed around a couple of things for BGA. But all in all, it's still another kill on their side. They killed the Olaf, so it's not like his advantage was fully gained. And oh, you missed 67.
Yeah, thankfully for him, needlework isn't completely complete as Dylan is now looking to go in for another kill against Platypus. Chaos Storm will get used, but so fast. That phase rush Poppy, you just zoom around the fight and you cannot catch her up. Lokidosi, though, we're going to be able to go in for some spinning axes against Project Panda. Is going to be able to get a ton of damage. Going to also be able to get the knockup and the Aqua Prison, the assist from Phoenix Main into the slam dunk. Lokidosi on the board.
Lokidosi gets the kill, but the highlight is all on Phoenix Main. That was a tidal wave into a bubble post flash without committing the flash of the Nami. So playing that as well as you can to get the kill into the pockets of the Draven. That is so much gold, that is so much value, even a plate, and this is now the kind of thing that you want to see from your Draven. Importantly as well, they didn't lose anything else on the other side of the map. Well, actually, they did lose their Rift Herald, but they didn't lose any member. So this is a pretty good play for BGA, and it's on Homeless graduates to try and get something now.
Let's see if they can do it again, though, as 67 full HP wants the kill against Little Nate, but can't finish the kill. Little Nate will survive with literally less than 100 HP and will take down 67.
I respect the attempt, but at the same time, I feel like with the amount of health that you have and with the distance, maybe he could have run away. Now, I do understand that that's maybe looking at it retroactively, but it's still a thing that maybe could have worked out better for the Gragas. And he still was close to getting the kill. Like this.
Oh boy, actually. Project Panda is in trouble. The red buff is ticking down. Dylan. Project Panda is going to fall. Dylan picks up their 3rd kill of the game, taking the kill count to 6 at the 10-minute mark.
This puppy really is not weak. She just gets in front of people, runs on them, and then gets a kill. And could even now look for the silver. Too far forward in the lane, maybe.
Oh boy, yeah, way too far forward, knowing that the support is gone, knowing that the jungler was on their side of the rift. On the hunt will get used. The Aqua Prison for the extra movement speed, and the Weaver's Wall Arsenals has been killed. Every single bit of damage as number 2 Ginger is now going to be very low, using the extra movement speed from the Nami to be able to pick up that survival. Number 2 Ginger survives. It's going to be the whirling death from Lokidosi to be able to pick up Arsenals. And you have 3 very low members on Virtue Gaming Ambition. None of them go down, and they pick up another clean kill.
This could mean, though, that Rift Herald goes down into this turret because of how low the members are, and it is going to be the case, but it's still a pretty good deal for the side of BGA. Another kill for the Draven, more gold into his pockets. But this will mean first turret gold, and looking at how the game will move at now from this position, it is pretty good for the side of Homeless Graduates as well. Even though I came from the fact that BGA, it's not bad that they did get a kill for the Draven. But looking at the map, looking at how the setup will go, mid lane is going to be the most important part to try and take down so that you can begin gaining control inside of the enemy jungle territory. And gaining that turret so early on could mean that now you can try and keep control over the Poppy. You can give more leeway for the Victor in terms of farming as well as for the Sivir, because you can get more deep vision. And then as well, you can try and get some bit of control over the objectives, even though I think they are going to lose this Drake potentially. But it's still not as bad as could have been. Also, I failed.
You did. It is not going to be an Infernal Drake here in game 1, but really importantly is... yeah, your disappointment is immeasurable and your day is ruined. Okay, guy. Number 2 Ginger, though, gonna be in trouble. The Seismic show up to stun out Arsenals. Gonna be forced to flash away, but Arsenals is gonna be down to about half HP. 67 is now in trouble, gonna be forced to flash and body slam. So will not have that available for this potential dragon fight. River control going over to Homeless Grads.
And this is the kind of thing that we were talking about with the mid lane turret down. Looking at the angle that 67 was coming from, that Ginger was coming from, that Dylan was coming from. Everyone was coming from the mid lane down, and they couldn't really get a lot of security because there's no turret there. So it's not like Homeless Grad rates have to be worried about taking damage in that situation. Still a potential good enough fight for the side of BGA, although... that is not the best target.
Let's see if they're going to do it, as they are going to be able to go for the Keeper's Verdict. That's going to be a ton of damage onto Little Nate, who gets completely abandoned by the rest of his squad. Savvy T is going to try to go in for the Smite Steal, and does get the Smite Steal. That's going to be the Hextech Drake stolen by Homeless Grads, as it is going to be Savvy T also being able to pick up the kill against the Poppy. Dylan will fall. 67 will fall. Number 2 Ginger goes down. Lokidosi dies, and Platypus ends this fight with a triple kill.
The exhaust is way too massive against BGA. It takes away from Lokidosi. If Lokidosi gets the first kill, I think that he just runs the team fight. Because after that, it's just a stack onto damage, onto nothing that you can do against this Draven, especially with the buffs. And the Victor was away a little bit, so he wasn't really focusing down onto the Draven in that fight. Huge outplay by Homeless Graduates, and they also secured the dragon, so it's not like EBJ get anything else apart from losing the fight, losing the dragon, and getting just a lonely kill onto Lil Nate.
Massive play for Homeless Grads. They needed something relatively soon. I was talking about that timeline for Virtue Gaming Ambition. You get to that 18-minute mark in a decent spot, and you're going to be able to run the show. But instead, they are unable to secure the dragon. They are unable to keep the gold lead, and they even out the kill count. It is a 23,000 gold game to 24 in favor of Homeless Grads. A massive influx of power and gold going over to Platypus, unlocking that first mythic item. That Leandri's Anguish is on the table, but now is going to potentially be the target of a gank and a play. And there it is, Virtue Gaming Ambition with the shutdown and the rebound.
Talk about being stunned for quite a while. That took quite a long time for the Victor to finally be able to move, and they get a pretty important kill, a pretty important tower take now potentially, and they don't lose the mid lane turret, which I think it's massive for the side of PGA. Not necessarily because the outer turret is already down, but because losing a second turret with the amount of gold that you can get for free for Homeless Graduates, it's not the best of things for VGA. So if they can keep this turret up for for at least 3 or more minutes, could be quite good for them. And if they get this turret, that's even more value added onto them. This is one of the turrets that gives more gold.
Yeah, there is a response now coming in as Platypus is going to get hit by the Aqua Prison, going to be down to about half HP, going to get hit by the Tidal Wave, and is now potentially in trouble. Dylan wants it, and Dylan is going to potentially get it. No, it's Phoenix Main with the Ebb and Flow picking up their second of the game.
Not gonna lie, really like how Ebb and Flow is the thing that it gets the kill at the end. Sad that it's not Lucky Dozy, but all in all, they still get another kill onto Platypus. 2 kills in the last 2 minutes, I think, and also a potential turret in the bot lane. Ooh, quick respawn though by the bot lane of Homeless Graduates, which I think it's a smart idea. And then they also get a turret in the top lane.
Yeah, and they might also be able to get a second headbutt as the Rift Herald's going to be down to about 600 HP. Shelly with the and one.
Quite good. It is becoming a pretty interesting game just in terms of how the map is getting worked by both teams, because it's not like either is getting left behind in terms of the plays that they can opt for. They trade kills, they trade objectives, they try to move around and not stop at just waiting for the next team fight, which I think it's quite good to see. Like they're still trying to get their sources of gold without having to rely on just waiting for the big objectives to spawn and then playing off of that.
Yeah, and I mean, very importantly there is that Shelly was able to get that second headbutt into that top tier 2 tower. So all of that work in terms of pressure in the bottom lane from VGA does kind of get canceled out and leaves Homeless Grads in a bit of a tower advantage state. Mid lane tier 2 tower is down to its last legs, barely standing at less than 10% HP. And then both the top lane and the bottom lane tier 2 towers for both teams are at about the same health bar as well. So you're really looking at a very parallel game. You can definitely see where the importance in the early game lied. With so much bottom lane control from VGA, top lane was more in control for Homeless Grads, and they have control of the top lane, which means at the 20-minute mark, they're going to be able to have Baron lane control.
Which can really mean just a quick Baron take, although it feels like it's not going to be that consistent to see, but it's still something to keep in mind. That is a lot of damage that Nate is doing. Did use the ulti. I'm surprised.
Yeah, Needlework is going to get used, maybe a little bit impatient there. You were talking about how important those ultimates are, and without that ultimate available, that is one less kill option for Homeless Grads to use as the Dragon now gets started.
This is going to be a pretty interesting Dragon fight now without the Needlework down from the Gwen. They don't have necessarily control over the river now. They did get the mid lane turret thanks to the minions. Oh!
Huge seismic shove on to Panda. Panda goes down. Arsenals are going to be forced out as well. Great explosive cast from 67 as Arsenals will die. 67 will be able to pick up their first kill of the game. Now 1, 2, and 1 with Platypus Project Panda both extremely low. They cannot stay in the fight. They will concede. Drake number 3. It goes over to VGA.
Really feels bad that they conceded the previous Drake in a 50-50 situation, but the teamfight setup, it goes from the W of the Taliyah into a perfect alley-oop from the Gragas to set up the kill onto the Sivir. Yeah, she flashes away, but the Gragas was already on the side with his big, strong belly to just destroy the Sivir. And that was such a perfect teamfight coming in from VGA. Everything that we talked about ended up being an important measure. River control, yes, they lose mid lane turret, but they have the control over the area. And then the needles from the Gwen were not active. Oh,
Lokidosi gonna get punished for being a little bit caught out, trying to back in a wrong spot. Ah, nice pick for Savvy T.
Double summoners. That is double summoners down now for the Draven. Not what you like to see, but it's on a lot of the vision play, but also on the disrespect from the Draven like you're talking about. You cannot back like that, especially when you don't have both turrets. And this is what we were talking about as well previously when the turrets were taken down. it's not about the control after the first one is down. It's not about the gold. It's about the safety that you can have with those turrets. And there's none because both of them are down. You don't have anything else apart from the innermost turret to defend yourself.
Right. And now speaking of towers and just speaking of objective control, I would say that Homeless Grads, they did what they needed to do in the first 20 minutes. 3 towers, 1 dragon, 2 Rift Heralds. Not a bad stat line when considering that you are looking to be able to be the early game team. The question now is we got to look at gold. It's 35,000 in favor of VGA. When does Homeless Grads win a team fight at this point? I'm really worried about their chances to be able to go in for a straight 5v5 with Baron. As we do get another fight, the tidal wave is going to land. Platypus will die. The tidal wave is huge, slowing down all 4 remaining members that are there. Project Panda is going to be the next target of another seismic shove. Dylan's going to be able to pick up the second kill in this fight. And with the mid laner and the support down, a chance for Baron is definitely available.
And I think more importantly than only just the kills, because the kills are important though, and maybe Gragas gets a kill down in bot lane. The fact that the Olaf is so low, they did miss on the opportunity there, but the Olaf is so low, if he tries to run in blindly without really caring about who is there, he may just get one-shotted before he even arrives to the Baron. He has no Baron, no flash, so it feels like really hard for them to be able to execute on this. Baron should be down.
Okay, Baron's going to be taken. Savvy T is going to be down to less than 100 HP. The Ignite will come through, but it's a double kill for Platypus with a precision laser, shutting down Phoenix Main, and another kill. 3 kills to 1, but Baron, 4 kills to 1. But Baron is secured for VGA. They will add to their gold lead, but they don't get anything with the objective.
The separated commitment coming in from BGA ends up biting them. 2 members were focusing on Baron buff. 2 were focusing on trying to keep them away. And then 67's teleport, I think that it was not a bad idea because I think that having all members there makes the situation much safer. The only problem is that he tried to go around instead of just straight up going for with the rest of the members to try and protect the Baron take. And I feel like if they just commit every member to take down the Baron and then move out to stop the Olaf in case he comes way too close or something like that, would have been better. Because first of all, Victor was still down. Yes, Gwen may teleport, but you can still try and throw her out, especially with the CC that you have. But when you give enough time for the teleports to get back up, to allow for Victor to come back up, you can now be in a much more dire situation like we just saw. And Olaf didn't have flash either, so it's not like he can just straight up flash in to try and steal anything. He has to run in front of you. And I feel like they messed on the window of opportunity that they had to really gain control over the Baron.
Savvy T going to be able to move forward. The only member remaining with Baron right now is 67. Everybody else dies in the exchange. And now potentially going to be another play here as the Baron buff minions are going to be in the mid lane. Going to try to go for the Keeper's Verdict. Massive amount of damage on the Platypus though. And a massive Keeper's Verdict and another great tidal wave. Just going to be more CC and more help for this Draven. Arsenals is going to be in trouble. Going to be down to about 100 HP but will not go down. And with Dragon spawning in 20 seconds, 3 members of Homeless Grads dead. They are going to be able to push forward. They will take this mid-tier 1 tower, and they are looking to pick up their Dragon number 3.
I really don't know how Arsenal is still alive, but it doesn't matter. Really close call with how BGA was able to get out of the fight, especially Lokidozi, surviving by the skin of his teeth. But that is going to be another Dragon in their pockets, another teamfight win, and it's really been the Dylan show in my opinion so far. He's the one that starts the things for BGA. He's the one that makes its presence known for the team and makes the engages work out. And every fight that he is the one that initiates or tries to make the situation work in their favor, always makes it work for BGA. Really great gameplay so far by Dylan.
Yeah, and I mean, it's what's so good about this composition right now for Virtue Gaming is that Dylan can use Keeper's Verdict, and it doesn't matter if Savvy T doesn't leave with that Ragnarok. You're going to be able to get more kills because Savvy T is then going to be all alone. It doesn't matter how much tenacity you've got. If you're unstoppable, you're still going to die in a 5v1. As 67 is now looking to be able to take down Arsenals here in a play. Flash forward. 67 does have explosive task. He still wants the play. He still wants it. He's going to drop the flask anyways just to leave a message, but They do end up losing a tower for that aggression there in the jungle.
Two.
Yeah,
looking at the minimap, this is a dangerous situation if BGA lose both, because they would be on the negative in terms of gold if they do actually lose it out. I think they are not quick enough to respond. So that is a lot of gold that they just gave up to Homeless Graduates because just trying to push a wave. And the thing is that they didn't have Baron anymore, not even on 67. So it's not like they can out push the side of Homeless Graduates, even if they wanted to. They lose a wave. I think they can take this turret, and we have a small pause. So for the gold that they are going to lose here, I think that it's going to equal out in the long scheme of things, but it's still bad that they are trying to trade equally, especially with the advantages that they were able to get with the team fight.
You know, I got to talk about this really quick. I'm getting flamed in the production chat for earlier calling the top lane the Baron lane. I am standing by my decision. It is the lane where Baron is closest to. It is a Baron lane.
I think we can just call it Island, and people will understand.
Island? Yeah. I can call it Island, too. I just, I'm getting called out in caster chat. Did I hear Baron lane? And then I get the Sad Monkas emote as well. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? I feel targeted. I feel attacked. Shout out to Benjamin's our producer for today. So great.
It's fine. At least you don't get consistent threats about playing a champ that you hate with all your life.
Yes. You got to look at the silver linings. You're absolutely right, TDS. This is why I like you so much.
It's always the positives, right?
anyways, positives right now for Homeless Grads. They have eliminated every single outer structure here in this game. They still have a structure in the bottom lane. The tier 2 tower is still available, though it is on its last legs. They were able to steal that Baron a little earlier, and it looks like they might be able to keep Little Nate alive as well, so they are able to just push these lanes forward without losing too much. The negatives. Lokidosi continues to outperform Arsenals right now, 4-3-5 compared to 0-4-4. Number 2 Ginger is almost at a 50 CS advantage. You've got a 2-kill advantage really for big. Dylan.
I'm honestly surprised with that, and it didn't keep a close eye. But it's not typical to see a picture losing a farming battle, especially if you're not on either Orianna or Azir. Like, those are the 2 champions that I can think 100% can win against Picture in terms of farming. But Ginger doing a pretty good job farming up, and Taliyah is a champion that now scales way better than she did previously. So that is going to be an important factor to try and keep in mind, especially for these late game team fights.
Yeah, I mean, right now, 3 items. Going to be also using that Blighted Gem, so we'll have that Void Staff to just continue to have magic penetration. You look at the build for this Taliyah, you are looking to be able to get through any resistances that are brought your way. Extra magic penetration because of the Luden's Tempest. Look at how much damage she is able to put on Little Nate. Number 2 Ginger could even go in with the Weaver's Wall if they wanted to potentially pick up the kill. They've decided not to. No, they want it. They want it. Lokidosi wants the kill, but is not going to be able to land the Whirling Death. Very close, though.
Respect the attempt. They didn't see that the Gwen was actually coming back just in case it's a Liao overextends. And I feel like if they just wait a bit longer, maybe they can get that kill. Anyway, I still, like, the point still stands, right? Till he has essentially almost 3-shotted the Gwen. And the ultimate of the Gwen cannot come close to the Taliyah, so Taliyah was never scared about her life at any point. She was just dealing damage from such a safe distance, and this is something that will keep on happening in fights, and especially for the Dragon fight that we will have in 50 seconds. Huge fight for the game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Gwen versus Taliyah matchup, it is such a hard 1v1 for the Gwen because you put in the stones. Those stones right there means that you're skipping stiff for Little Nate. You're just going to get stunned if you decide you want to try to dash. You can't get into range to reset your needlework because Ginger has so many different slowing opportunities. So we're going to look to see if that is going to be available here as we do potentially get a team fight here in the next couple of seconds. Keeper's Verdict was utilized as well as On the Hunt. So it is going to be a 1-for-1 ultimate trade with Dragon spawning in 14 seconds. Remember, if VGA is able to get it, that would be Mountain Soul and all the resistances that come with it.
I feel like the On the Hunt is a pretty much bigger like cooldown. English is hard. I'm mixing up words, but it's a bigger cooldown to be losing on than the Keeper's Party. Oh, Dylan, you fell.
Okay, yeah, no, that's phase rush. Still going to be able to reset. Oh my god! Oh my lord! Arsenals just gets deleted from existence as Savvy T is going to go in as well. Will die. That's 2 kills down. That's 3. That's 4. That's going to be all 5 members potentially going down for Homeless Grads. Maybe not though. Little Nate is going to still be alive. This is a 2v2. Number 2 Ginger and 67 versus Platypus and Little Nate. The Weaver's Wall going the wrong direction, but you do have that extra little bit of movement speed, and Platypus is going to be the target here. Will Platypus be able to get away? Going to be able to get the slow on to the Taliyah to not be able to continue to keep them up. Platypus also has teleport. Will Little Nate be able to get out of this one? Will Little Nate be able to stay alive long enough for the teleport to come in? We're going to see the golden come through. Can Little Nate survive? Little Nate can survive. But the seismic shove, Platypus is going to go golden now. Platypus will die. And number 2 Ginger is on a killing spree.
That was one of the saddest, I think, Victor teleports I've seen in my whole life. He came in so confidently thinking that he was going to change the fight in a meaningful way. Ends up dying in less than 3 seconds. That felt really underwhelming. But at the same time, it did buy enough time. Now everyone is up.
Yeah, it sure did. Number 2 Ginger is not at any mana, cannot be part of this fight, has to go back and then teleport back, and they know that. Number 2 Ginger is going to stay, though, so this is a very risky play for Gaming Ambition. Are they going to be able to do it, though? The tidal wave does come in. 67 going to be able to take down Arsenals. It's a double kill for 67. Wants another kill, maybe, as Loki Dosi with the spinning axes will take down Little Nate. Savvy T is the only one remaining, and he is not long for this world. It's an ace for Virtue Gaming Ambition. Platypus is alive, but he will not be able to stop the Mountain Soul, and he will not be able to stop this Baron take.
That is a 5+ minute fight, I feel like. Like, that lasted from even before the dragon was spawned to way after the dragon was already there to be able to be taken. That was such a long fight, but still really nicely played. I want to say by both sides, because realistically, Homeless Graduates were able to buy so much time. They played off of killing important targets. Gwen and Victor were able to survive really long, and they were able to buy quite a bit of time for their members to spawn once again. But crucially, and I feel this is so important, I want to give a lot of credit to 67 because he found so many angles. Arsenals didn't play the fight. Either fight wasn't able to play the game in those 5 minutes that the fight took, or I don't know if it was 5 minutes or how long it was, but Arsenal didn't play the game at that point. He was dead at the start of both fights, and he never was able to find an angle to deal even the smallest bits of damage. That was so well played by BGA, and that's why I want to give so much credit to 67. I think that he did such an amazing job at denying Arsenals.
I mean, I have to agree.
Ginger.
Every single member putting in work, as number 2 Ginger is now going to be in trouble. The seismic shove will get used, but out of position, shutdown on the Taliyah. Will that be enough to be able to keep them alive a little while longer, though, as Little Nate going to try to come in, going to get stunned, going to be able to go golden here right before death. Going to waste a little bit more time, but Dylan will be able to pick up that kill. 6, 4, and 8 on this Poppy. Absolutely instrumental in the early game power that VGA had, from being able to pick up that first red buff, from then being able to get the first blood and then the first dragon, really shutting down Savvy T in the early stages of the game, and is still providing an impact in the later stages.
How many stacks does the Draven have? I wanted to see if he could have one-shot at someone at any point with the stack. So, oh no, he's at 49, so he has nothing.
No, well, he's also been getting kills. He's 5, 4, and 10. He has at least been able to reset here. He's also lost stacks because of those deaths. So, you know, still being able to get those, though, is definitely something that we gotta look at as part of the reason why VGA is in the position that they're in. This is going to be a potential play, though, as Ragnarok is going to get used. Tidal Wave does not land onto anybody, but Platypus is going to be down to less than half HP. One spinning axe be able to take down Platypus, and now that's Victor dead. Lokidosi wants to be able to get some more, though. He wants to be able to continue to push forward as VGA, 33 minutes into the game, wants to finish the job.
Lokidosi is also so quick thanks to both the Nami and just hitting those spinning gags. Oh, engage!
Okay, we're engaging.
Bye.
We're gonna get the explosive cast. Savvy T, Sayonara. No Ragnarok that time. That's 67 going a dominating performance on this Gragas. Little Nate will flash away, but that will not delay the inevitable. Congratulations to VGA, who are now one game away from being able to go into grand finals in the UML. Lokidosi will take the kill. He doesn't even get killed. He just gets executed. And speaking of execution, what a phenomenal performance in the mid to late game for VGA.
Still disappointed in Lokidosi. He had to flash in to get that kill, not even getting it with the wording dead. Disappointed. But what I'm not disappointed, it's like you're talking about. Execution on that game by VGA was really, really good. There were moments that felt a little bit dangerous, particularly the dragon fight, the second dragon fight, where they contested for the dragon, they lost on the dragon, and they lost the fight, giving up a bit of their lead. But they immediately turned the script. They gained advantages. They didn't get left behind when trading objectives, and they just kept on getting gold that maybe weren't supposed to get a lot of points. So you really have to credit the side of VGA for how they performed. And once again, I called him out. I pointed him out because I feel like he performed greatly. Dylan really playing great on the Poppy, achieving so many good ganks, so many good spots. If not for his engages, or if he's not the one engaging, it felt like the fights didn't go positively for VGA. And it really showed that his decision making was a pretty important decisive factor for how VGA can win team fights.
I totally agree. And the way that Dylan was able to execute the early game, recognizing where he had power and where he did not, was really, really pivotal. And if you guys are watching this is how a jungler needs to perform. You have to make those correct decisions, saying, hey, I'm going to take those Raptors early on, so that means that I can stay in the bottom lane a little bit more to try to go for that first blood, to try to go for that dragon. I'm going to be aggressive in my enemy's jungle because I trust my lanes to assist, and I know the timing of when I can get away with it and when I can't. Yes, there was a couple of times where you were a little bit too aggressive, and maybe if you were in a different scenario, then maybe it might have cost you the game. But today, and in this particular game one, it was definitely enough to get VGA on the right track. Really stunted the early momentum that Homeless Grads were trying to go for, and it gives VGA the leg up moving into the remainder of this series. We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, it's going to be game number 2 between the Homeless Grads and Virtue Gaming Ambition. You do not want to miss it. We'll be right back.
bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we bring to fall the giants? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the last light.
Welcome back, everybody, to Virtue Gaming. VGA, Virtue Gaming Ambition, is now currently one game away from heading to the grand finals of the UML. Moose and TDS here on the cast with the Benjamins, Mr. Benj, the man, the myth. He's going to be our producer and the production talent for today's broadcast. As we get to take a look at the picks and bans here for Game 2, Homeless Grad's going to be over on the blue side once again. You do have Virtue Gaming Ambition that are going to be over on the red side here for Game 2. And it is a salty run back for the B1 pick, the Sivir. Going to get locked in.
With this, it would be 2 picks from game 1 so far.
2 in a row. Can we get
Let's
3
see.
in a row?
It was Poppy after this. So
Sure was.
I would want to see if Homeless Graduates would be willing to go for the salty, especially because I feel like the Olaf just simply didn't find the value that I was expecting of it. And I think maybe they're going to try and opt for another pick. Now, I think Olaf is a fine enough pick. It's just that the setup around him didn't feel that good. But so far, 3 out of 3.
Yep, 3 out of 3. Are we going to get 4 out of 4? Remember, the pick that was last time was
Olaf
the
was
Olaf
here and then Karma.
Yeah. Olaf and Karma, I definitely think like the weak point for Homeless Grads was the Karma. I didn't really feel like they brought enough impact.
Okay.
Renata getting locked in, it's like a little bit of a better Karma there, and you get more attack speed for Sivir, which is very, very important here, which should force VGA into a little bit of adaptation. You can go with the Draven and the Nami once again, but if you do, you do run the risk of Renata kind of just giving you a really, really difficult time in the early game.
And I also really like the Olaf still getting picked here because I feel like the Olaf is not a bad option. You can run Olaf here. Now with the Renata, you have that second life potential. And then with the Ragnarok, as well as having that hostile takeover, you can have a pretty interesting combo where Olaf just gets free hitting time because no one is focusing him. And that can keep the Ragnarok stack up quite nicely. I think for BGA, though, I could see them opting once again into the Draven, not necessarily here, but they could go for the Draven and Blitzcrank to have something to just pull someone into the Draven, but it's still the Twitch. So I like the adaptation as well here. It's going to have much more range, potentially, and then also you don't run the risk of just being a straight-up target because most of the time you're invisible. So you're really not going to be playing off of that a lot.
Now Yuumi is not available to the delight of TDS.
We don't get Tom and Jerry, no.
No Talia here, but there are some other strong enchanter comps that can work with the Twitch. I mean, you can go Lulu. You can also, if you really wanted to play a little bit more early game, you can go for a tank. The Blitzcrank has been kind of the flavor of the week, I feel, in some of these games that I've been watching. So I'm very excited to see if that is maybe something that they want to go for. Maybe pair up the Twitch with a tank to allow for him to be able to push forward. It would be a little bit unorthodox, but it would give you that front line, which would then allow for 67 to play a little bit more aggressive in the top lane. So let's see what the adaptation is. The Gragas and the Gwen and the Victor are all banned. So we're definitely seeing some different R4, R5 picks here in this game.
I can see them going for something like Braum just because of the shield potential. But it is still the thing where you cannot take away from the Olaf, right? So I think the Karma,
Mhm.
when thinking about the enchanters that are left or that you can opt into, would be Karma and then Janna. But same problem with the Olaf. So at least Karma will give you that movement speed to try and kite back, which I think in the overall context makes sense. As an answer though here, I feel like you need to have a strong mid lane presence. So maybe something like a Silas could be a potential pick, or Rise to try and win the war of pushing Lissandra as well. This is something that we haven't seen in a while. If it gets big, yeah.
Yeah.
Sinrights, interesting.
I mean, Syndra has been kind of lying low this
Yeah.
season so far, and with the change of the 12.14 brought Sivir coming back into the meta. We've been seeing a little bit more Karma. We've been seeing a little bit more Gwen get picked up as well, like we've seen. The Syndra does, I think, get complemented by being able to have something
Oh,
like the Sivir available, as the Aatrox is going to get hovered. Aatrox is going to get
ooh,
locked in. So you have a very, very high damage composition here for
yeah.
homeless grads. Takes a little bit longer for them to scale up, but it does allow for them to really compete moving into that late game.
I think that there's a better potential in that way, and I think the biggest change to me certainly it's the Renata in this comp, much more so than the Atrox or anything like that. Trundle would be an interesting pick here, which could mean that we see Poppy in the top lane instead, yeah, and instead having the Jarvan inside of the jungle. There's still Jarvan top lane that could be potentially played, but I don't expect to see that. And I feel like even though I like the adaptation of taking Renata instead of Karma this time around for homeless graduates, I feel like Aatrox falls in the same trap as the Gwen does did in the previous game, and it's that you're against the Puppy, which means that you cannot dash in. You're against the Talia, you cannot dash in. And if you get way too close for comfort, there's quite a bit of burst damage coming in from both Talia and the Twitch as well. And Twitch doesn't really need to get close to you to auto attack you. So I just feel like there's quite a bit of risk for this Aatrox pick that if he doesn't get the ball rolling early on, even if his healing is high, his potential reach towards the backline is not secure to be able to see it. And I think that may be pretty fearsome again for homeless graduates.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, 100% there. I think that we've got to really focus in on just how safe this composition for VGA is. Once again, they have drafted a composition that can either initiate or disengage. Every single one of these champions has initiation or disengage tools if used properly. So you have so much flexibility for Virtue Gaming Ambition here that you're going to be able to counter what homeless grads were looking to do. Once again, they are looking to run forward and try to be able to just mow you down. I don't know if you're going to be able to do that here.
It feels like it's way too risky to pull it off. But once again, I still think that the Renata pick here really changes dynamics in a way that, at least for homeless graduates, will be beneficial. Like even if the comp idea stays close to the same that it was the previous game, and I think that's going to be a big weakness. Having that hostile takeover to take away focus from both Aatrox and Olaf can be quite important. And then having the revive as well to play off of a champion like Aatrox can be something that, if managed correctly, can be quite powerful, especially paired up with a champion like Syndra that will burst champions out as well. If you can make that useful enough with the Aatrox, I can see them maybe keeping the Aatrox long enough that he won't be a liability. But all in all, I still feel like PGA just has to play off of the cooldowns well enough that they can make teamfights last long, and then they can take them.
Oh yeah. I mean, and now the question is, can VGA continue to keep that momentum that we saw in game
Yeah.
1 here into game 2? There is still flexibility. We could still potentially see Dylan go into the jungle with the Poppy. J4 goes into the top lane against the Aatrox. I am predicting the opposite, though. I think that Poppy is probably going to be comfortable here in the top lane. J4 in the jungle, get that creativity and those creative juices flowing, because you want to be able to continue to have the best pathways possible to get the best ganks that you can. You have 3 lanes that you can be pretty effective in ganking here. So I think that is a very, very smart R5 pick for VGA.
Yeah.
Speaking of picks, though, PDS, what is going to be the Dragon and Rift for game 2?
So I failed miserably in the first one, predicting Inferno first Drake to get taken down. So I'm feeling a bit Ocean this time around. I think that healing is going to be quite nice to see.
Healing Ocean, I am going to take your scraps and turn them into a full course
Okay.
meal. It is going to be an Infernal Drake here for game 2. Chat, I want to know what your guys' prediction is for the Soul and Rift moving into game 2. Let us know what you guys think of the drafts as well. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we will be back with potentially the conclusion of this winner's finals here in the UML. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Game number 2 is now live between Virtue Gaming Ambition and the Homeless Grads. If VGA is able to win this game, they will win the series 2-0 and will move on to the grand finals of the Unified Major League. My name is Moose, and I am joined here today by TDS. And, you know, we saw a really strong game early-wise from Dylan. What does Dylan need to do now on the J4 that is going to allow him to continue to keep that success going?
So, first of all, either buy items or if this is a bug, then try and move around for the Twitch lane once again. Because I think that the bot lane is going to be a pretty important point of focus once again. We have the pop in the top side, so it's going to be another kind of Graga situation where you don't have to worry about the top lane that much. The top lane should be self-sufficient enough, or at least not be in a spot where they die, whereas the bot lane will be your main carry. So playing off of the Twitch is going to be important, and that's why I think looking at where he's starting, that's going to be his main plan.
Yeah, and, you know, speaking of, a little bit differently here for Homeless Grads, Savvy T with that Olaf has decided to go with the red buff first, not allowing for any sort of shenanigans there. Gonna go for a full clear, and we'll just look to try to be able to get those early levels. Does look like it is a visual bug, as Dylan is gonna come in for potentially the first game gank. Platypus going to be the target here, does not suspect that Dylan is in the area, so they've got to be careful. Let's see if they are going to be able to do that. While we do that, though, can we get a reset on the scorecard there, Benjamins, please? As we do get ourselves the flash out of Platypus off screen. Successful early game gank.
That is such an interesting play that Dylan opted into this time around. It's not that it's weird to see the Jarvan opt into this kind of play, but because it took so long, it's important that the flash was used by Platypus. Because if they don't get anything after waiting so long for the Jarvan to go up for the play, especially with the weird pathing that he opted into to try and go over the ward, it would have been disaster for VGA in that sense. But they get the flash, now could be a potential revisit for the mid lane, especially with something like a Taliyah to set you up. And this also means that now the threat over on the bot side becomes a little bit bigger for VGA, because they will get a little bit more space thanks to the Syndra having to be a bit more fearful about how she opts into fights.
See if we can get this figured out here really quickly. Benjamins, are you here? Benjamins. We gotta reset the scorecard, please. Thank you.
Perfect.
Alrighty, there we go. We are back on track. Everything is good there. And like you said, you know, a little bit of a delayed play now for Dylan. Not going to be able to be on the same level as Savvy T. Savvy T went for the full clear, will be level 4. Deciding to go into that grunt or into that scuttle crab. But that doesn't mean that they can't go for a play here mid lane, and that is exactly what Dylan is looking for.
Going over the wall potentially could be a risky situation. We'll have to use the flash if he opts for the play, but I feel like they are not going to go that aggressive. But this does mean Olaf is over on the top side. They know that the Jarvan should have not taken a lot of its camps, so now they're trying to contest, but it's getting into a potential fight. Ooh.
Yeah, Seismic Shove could be available for number 2 Ginger. Looking to be able to get a little bit of damage as 67 is going to be forced to flash away. Little Nate with those Infernal Chains. Be forcing out the Poppy here in the early game. Does have that power and that control. Raptors were not taken, though. Dylan will be able to keep those neutral camps in his pocket. And we'll still have the Wolves and the Krugs available, so does have the opportunity to go for plays. We do get the flash forward onto Platypus. Going to try to go in for the flag and drag. Not quite enough damage. VGA does not get first blood.
And a big problem here now with Dylan using the flash to try and get the kill, but it doesn't happen. Now means that the Syndra is not in the same level of fearness that she was previously, because now she doesn't have to fear a flash flag and drag from the Jarvan to try and get the play going or anything like that. It's mainly on the Taliyah, and if the Taliyah fails, it shouldn't be that easy for the Jarvan to be able to cover a lot of the distances. So pretty interesting that they did opt so heavily for that play, and great escape coming in from the Syndra, if you want to call it like that. That means that the kill doesn't happen at all.
Exactly, and now potentially a 3v3 situation as Arsenals and Savvy T They now realize that Dylan does not have HP, but are they going to try
Do
to
they
go in
really
for this
wanna
play? The
fight
root
this?
does land on a Project Panda. The handshake's going to come through as well. The root's going to come in as with the ignite. Flag and drag going to land onto Savvy T, who's going to be down to about 300 HP. Arsenals is now the next target. That is 3 flashes and first blood for VGA. The targeting was there. The durability doesn't matter. Platypus, though, responding with the unleashed power to make it a 1-for-1.
And realistically, much better the fact that you get the kill into the Syndra. The Karma is the one that gets your kill, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but if you trade for a kill and the kill goes into one of the main carries of the enemy team, that's going to be much worse for you. And this is what happens this time around. Oh, there's no flash on Ginger.
Yeah, Ginger is now
Bye-bye.
very much in trouble. Bye-bye, Savvy T. Pick up the second kill of the game for the Homeless Grads, and 67 is now maybe going to be hit with the third kill of this game. Oh no, 67 gonna go down, and Homeless Grads get the early game that they wanted in game 1.
Disastrous early game for VGA, but like you're pointing out, for Homeless Graduates, pretty good start, pretty good development that is happening for them, and they are getting kills in spots that they realistically shouldn't. A lot of disrespect from the side of VGA is getting punished, and now we need to see how the objectives end up going in favor for Homeless Graduates. How are they going to try and get those objectives to get the snowball even higher? This Aatrox potentially getting a plate is going to be so important and so good for them as well.
Maybe a little bit of vision dropped by Arsenals into the red buff. They realized that Dylan did decide to go for the red buff steal, and now potentially an opportunity for Homeless Grads to respond in the top lane. Maybe they didn't notice, and now wasting time. Savvy T is going to be in the mid lane. Be able to see that Dylan is there, maybe in the Raptor camp, and does get it. But Savvy T wasting a little bit of time here.
He's essentially going blow for blow right now with the Jarvan, which I think for the Jarvan is a little bit better. Like, he was already kind of falling behind to the Olaf, so the fact that he's able to get himself up in a good enough spot that he's not losing a lot onto the Olaf is a really good thing for Dylan. And now it's going to be quite a bit on VGA to how much advantages they can get off of that. Interesting attempt at trade. I like that we see Lokidozi being aggressive, especially with the damage that he can deal, and maybe we'd see the first dive of the game. They don't have level
Dylan
6
wants
though.
the flag
Ooh.
and drag, does not have 6, is going to be taking 2 turret shots, wants to be able to pick up Arsenals as the bailout does get used. Ignite is going to come in, and now potentially a play from number 2 Ginger as he goes in with the Weaver's Wall. Arsenals is going to be the target, going to try to be able to pick it up, going to be able to stun them out. Number 2 Ginger cannot secure the kill, and it ends up being a 1-for-1 so far. Platypus gets a double kill. It's disaster for VGA, as number 2 Ginger is now looking to potentially be able to get away. There is no flash. There is no hope. Can he maybe pick up a kill on top of that? He cannot. Platypus picks up the pseudo triple.
And you really have to question how VGA is performing this kind of plays. The idea overall, I think it's fine. I don't dislike the attempt of a dive, but Dylan is on level 6. You cannot opt into that kind of play when you're, first of all, forcing the play badly, then you overcommit for it. You take a turret shot already, use flag and drag without even having ultimate, so it's not like you have a second measure for re-engage. You're losing on top side, you're losing on mid lane the play immediately because you're way too late, and then when the Taliyah does arrive, the dive, the lane setup is completely horrible. So everything that you need to make for the play to go right is going completely wrong. You cannot force a play to happen, and that's why at the end VGA gets completely punished. They lose out on everything that they wanted to do and give up 3 kills essentially for just 1. I think it went to Lokidozi though. No, actually it went for the Taliyah, so not the best target either to get that value.
Yeah, very unfortunate there for Virtue Gaming. They end up just giving up so much on top of the kills. They end up giving up Rift Herald. They end up giving CS advantages up. They just give up a lot for a failed play. And you know what? Sometimes you have to go for those plays, and now it is up to VGA to rebound like they were able to do in game 1 after they have lost 4 at that second dragon of the game. So definitely the opportunity is there, as Arsenals is going to be the target of another play
No,
here
way too far,
from
though.
Dylan. Dylan's going to be down to like 100 HP. What?
Oh, no.
What? What? As Loki Dosi is now going to be in trouble. That's going to be 1 kill for 1, though. Project Panda will go down. That's 2 for 1, actually, as number 2 Ginger will fall as well.
The only positive thing about everything about this play is the fact that Loki Dosi gets a kill. Everything, once again, pretty scuffed, pretty forced, pretty bad how it ends up developing for the side of VGA. And one measly kill is really not something that you should be happy with if you're on the VGA side, because of how they try to perform these things, and you really have to question how they are performing these things. Like, even if the game goes in their favor, which I still think they have plenty of a window to make it happen, these are the kind of mistakes that you really hate to see. Really good trade by Ginger.
Wow, a lot of damage. Number 2 Ginger not going to go for the flash, though. Will allow for Platypus to escape. At the very best, that probably would have been a flash for Flash, but nice seismic shove.
Without Dylan's flash, I think that maybe there's not a lot of chance for you to get something in that play. And then if you flash and don't get anything, and there's the Olaf on the top side ready to collapse on you, you're dead. So I think that it's much more so than trying to attempt to get the kill or trade positively for you. It's not attempting to against your own safety, because then you can just end up dying without your flash. But it was a lot of damage, still something that we will see in the continuation of the game. And once again, to try and see silver lightings, at least in the bot lane, it's going well for BGA. 102 on the Twitch, 92 CS to 66. So he's doing quite a bit of a nice job to try and keep himself quite steadily well in the game.
Yeah, and Dylan can just continue to go back there on repeat, as Platypus might be targeted here, is going to be a little out of position. Olaf is not necessarily going to be able to help out so far, but Savvy T is there. They will be able to make sure that Platypus does survive, able to drop that deep ward, which is extremely important. Platypus is also going to force out the flag and drag from Dylan, so no play is going to be there. They will be able to stop it, though, as Platypus is now going to be targeted from the Cataclysm. They're going to try to go for this one. They're going to flash forward. Number 2 Ginger, way too aggressive, and Savvy T will pick up their second kill of the game. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Loki Dosi is going to try to go in for the spray and pray on to Arsenals. Wants to try to pick up the kill, is going to be able to avoid the hostile takeover, going to try to avoid the damage, going to be able to get the massive amount of expunge that you can get, but it will not be enough to take down any kills. And now we've got Savvy T on the way.
Yeah, this is going to be Savvy T being able to get towards the bot lane. I don't think that he's going to achieve anything, but I think that this is a perfect segue to talk about what happened in the mid lane while talking about Savvy T, because it's a important adaptation from the previous game to this one that it's making the Olaf feel even more impactful. He's taking flash, and that means that now plays where other champions or members could have just tried and move around away from him with the flash, they cannot run away that easily, because he can flash on them, he can follow up, he can get the kill. And that is what we saw in the mid lane play, where they just collapsed on both number 2 Ginger and Dylan, and they didn't achieve anything. Again, Dylan forcing the play.
Yeah, I mean, this has just been such an aggressive game for Dylan and number 2 Ginger, as they can go for another play. World Ender is going to get used, and Little Nate is going to be the target. Oh my god, the Infernal Chains almost are going to keep Little Nate alive, but it does not result in survival. Finally, a kill working out for VGA.
Really, really important that they get this kill, and really, really important that it's also on the Talia, because Poppy is not a champion that you want to give these sorts of shutdowns or important kills onto. You need this on the champions that will have to deal damage. You cannot get taken out without being able to deal enough damage. So important that it's a Talia, the one that gets it. They don't get the big Raptor, unfortunately, but it's still a much more positive play they are able to get, and they don't get punished anywhere else things from that either.
Yeah, I think that that's very important here, is that, you know, you've just been punished so aggressively across the map for playing so aggressive. Where's that patient play that we saw in game 1? Like, you know that you've got the late game power to be able to maybe win in these team fights. You know that Olaf and Aatrox are going to have a little bit of trouble being able to keep up with the damage that Loki Dosi and Ginger are going to be able to bring in, but you just give up so much early game control, and that was one of the reasons why VGA was able to win game 1, is because they had some early game control. Now, behind by 4,000 gold, 15 minutes into the game, it is, you know, Homeless Grad's game to lose.
So trying to not devil's advocate, but to give maybe reasoning for PGA. I think maybe it's them trying to in some ways limit test how far they can go with certain plays and how much they can get away with. Because realistically, even though I think that it's way too aggressive and I think that maybe it's way too risky as well, it's not like they have gone for plays that will be 100% game lose. Like those are plays that if they work out much more positively for you, that can just mean immediately much more value for you later on. 67 should be exhaust.
Yeah, exhaust is going to get used. Savvy T is going to be on a killing spree, going to be able to pick up 1 kill, and might even be able to pick up a second tower out of that play. Number 2, Ginger.
Could even go for inhibitor turret.
Second kill of this play, and maybe even the 3rd turret is going to go down. Wow.
I cannot believe it. That is okay. So I was playing for going for limit testing. This is not limit testing. This is just simply giving up for something completely this is second dragon of the game. It's not even soul point. It's just a second dragon. I just don't think that there's any sort of value or positivity that you can look for in this play. And now even 67 may end up just dying.
Yeah, Dylan is going to be the
Dylan
target,
as well.
though. He's going to be forced to flash away. Does have Cataclysm if he does want to use it. Maybe he is going to have to use it. Going to be on a rampage as Savvy T is going to get hit by the seismic shove. Shutdown will land as 67 is now going to be in a 1v3. Is going to get knocked up. Is going to be in trouble. Is going to be ravaged by Little Nate. There's now going to be 2, 1, and 2. Going to be another tower going down. So in the course of the last 2 minutes, TDS, you give up 4 kills, you give up 4 towers, and you allow for Shelly to get 3 headbutts. 3 headbutts. It is absolutely insane how productive that last Rift Herald was, all for 2 shutdowns and a dragon.
Not even an important dragon. It was just the second dragon of the game. So not even something that will net you an important lead when you think about the whole context of the game. Now, it's not like this means game's over still because they do have champions that will scale, but it just opens up so many windows of opportunity now for Homeless Graduates. Like, there's no building turrets, so once again we're in a situation where they can just walk inside of your jungle and there's no safety spot for you. Like, even previously there was at least a safety spot. Now there's none. Ooh, okay, Loki is fine.
Lokidosi was a little bit in trouble there, but is going to be able to get away from the Infernal Chains. Little Nate is insane. 2, 1, and 2, 147 CS. I mean, the gold that this champion is going to have is going to be immense. And so once again, it's Dylan now going to be the target of another play, going to be down to about half HP, and there is nothing that VGA can do to stop it.
And really making this Jarvan last pick feel like such a complete waste, at least so far. Like, it's not achieved anything that you typically want to see from the Jarvan in terms of early play or what he really can get done in the early game. Then you also play with the Jarvan pick, you send your Poppy towards the top lane, which sometimes works quite well, but with the counter pick, it's simply no valuable. Dies once again. And now, if Lokidosi dies here, I think that this is complete and utter misery for the side of PGA. But it's still an which will
Dylan
die.
going to try to go in for the Cataclysm, so he will die as well. I mean, at this point, like, there's very little that I think VGA can do. Little Nate will take down number 2 Ginger. Such a clean game for Homeless Graduates. They're going to be able to take an inhibitor before 20 minutes. FF go next?
Now, this is comp, so there's always a window of opportunity for you to try and turn around.
For sure, yeah, absolutely.
If they try to push this to win, that would be crazy. But I just like the to not harp on a lot of the mistakes that BJ has done. Homeless Graduates turn around so effectively from the previous game. They covered up on their mistakes. They played with a lot of respect to what potentially could go from BGA, and even though they took some of the same picks, their adaptations, particularly with the Renata and then with how the Olaf was played this game, was super, super well done. They never gave the opportunity for BGA to really find the same avenues to victory that they did in the first game, and it's really clear on how the gameplay has gone far.
Yeah, I mean, if this game does end up going to VGA's favor, it is going to have to take a monumental effort here at the 20-minute mark. Cloud Drake
It
is
has to be
spawning
at
in
least
about
15 minutes.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time for you to be able to make it happen. And if you do find the right angles, and if you are able to get the right kills, like onto Platypus, for example, get that 1,000 gold bounty onto Loki Dosi. You're able to maybe keep number Ginger alive here. That would be big. Number 2
Maybe,
Ginger going
no.
to try to be able to survive. No way, Jose. You cannot die like that if you want to try to bring this game back. And
Yeah.
every single kill that goes into Homeless Grad's hands just widens the gap even further.
Any kill that you give, any kill that they take will just mean even more harsh conditions for you to try and turn around the game. Possible? Yes, it's still possible. Do I see it feasible? I don't really think so. Like,
It's not feasible.
who will stand in front of the Olaf and the Aatrox with the lead that they have right now and say, yeah, you're not killing our Twitch?
You're not. You just pick up another inhibitor for free. There's nothing that VGA can do here.
It does mean that it's free farm. So they get free farm
Yes,
at least.
it is free farm. And you did pick up that second dragon for the inhibitor a little bit earlier, so you do, at least deny any sort of early Cloud Soul. Not like Cloud Soul is going to be the most important dragon, but you are at least going to be able to deny that. And like you
Yeah.
said, you do have the opportunity to pick up a ton of EXP and a ton of gold that Homeless Grads are not going to be able to get. 67 is level 13 to level 14. Dylan is still level 11. Number 2 Ginger is still within even levels of Platypus. Arsenal's the same thing. So it's not like this game is completely out of grasp, like you said. Like, it is still possible, but is it feasible? Not really.
It has to take a pretty big shutdown kill. I think it has to be onto the Syndra. It cannot be on any other member. Like, neither Aatrox nor Olaf nor Sivir, for how far ahead they are as valuable as this Syndra. And it really has to be Syndra getting shut down for the game to be able to be turned around by BGA.
I totally
Dylan
agree here.
really-
7-0-3 on the Syndra. Platypus has played phenomenally here. Luden's Echo, you've got the Shadow Flame as well, along with a stopwatch. So even if you do land the Cataclysm, not only do you have Flash, but now you also have the stopwatch to be able to stay safe.
Oh,
Platypus, though, gonna get
Oh.
targeted right as I say it. Legendary, but will he survive? Dylan wants the kill. Gonna try to go in for the Cataclysm. Will go golden. I cannot believe that Platypus is gonna survive this disaster, as Savvy T will be able to take down Dylan.
that was it. That had to be the kill. I hate stopwatch with all my life, and even before just this happened, like, I already hated it. But really, that was the kill. If they get that, there was a window when they could actually just make the game get stopped. Because Syndra dying means that there's easier time to try and stop Baron from dying. The push becomes much easier to go against because the push away from the Syndra is so big. And then the burst damage, it's simply not there anymore. Like, there's consistent damage, but burst damage kind of disappears if the Syndra goes away. But they get the Baron, they get the kills, they get the Sonjas onto the Syndra. I'm pretty sure that this game should be over in the next 5 minutes. And I think 5 minutes is a lot, if I'm honest.
I think 5 minutes is relatively generous to TDS. I think it's going to end in the next 2.5. With Baron up and the Baron up minions going through the mid lane. This could even be the death march here, moving into game number 3 for Homeless Grads. The inhibitor is going to respawn, so that is going to be the start of this siege now for Homeless Grads to be able to get Virtue Gaming Ambition to a game 3 scenario. Going to be able to clear out those towers, and now they're just waiting for minions to be able to come through.
How many minions do you need to try and clean up this game? At least one. Oh, Hoppy. Maybe
Hey,
looking for the
okay,
kill.
Dylan's gonna
Jarvan?
go into Cataclysm, gonna be able to get the
Oh.
stun on it to Platypus.
They don't-
Platypus goes
they-
down. That is a shutdown going over to Dylan, but it's going to be 3 kills for 1. Dylan, Logidosi, and 67 will fall. It is gonna be a 2v4 situation. Number 2, Ginger is not with any HP. Phoenix Bay can do what they can, but it will not be enough.
Game
We
3.
are going to a game 3.
And it is a game 3. It's not something I expected with the way that the first game went. but you really have to give credit to Homeless Graduates to how they play this game and the adaptations that they make. And you have to criticize how the side of BGA adapted in a lot of ways and how they played out the game. A little bit too aggressive a lot of the times meant that they couldn't take some of the fights later on. They gave way too much gold to the side of Homeless Graduates, and it was almost impossible to come back after that. Like, I feel like the most egregious play and the one that really just made it close to impossible for the side of PGA to try and play out the game had to be that mid lane play where they just let the Reap Herald crash 3 turrets and they simply just traded it for a dragon. You really have to question that out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they thought that they were going to lose 3 towers and
Yeah,
get a headbutt
has
on
to be.
inhibitor. But it was the fact that 67 and I believe number 2 Ginger both got caught out
And
and
both
fell
died.
in the mid lane. They both died, so it was the 2 kills. It was the 3 headbutts from Shelly. It was the 3 towers. It was the inhibitor shot. Like, it was all of those things at that point in the game that put Virtue Gaming into a point of no return. And I mean, who knows if this was actually a little bit of a limit test here for VGA. They were
Could
playing
be.
very, very aggressive here in the second game. They went for plays that, we both were just like scratching our heads. Like, what are you guys doing here? After you knew that the first time it didn't work, after the second time it didn't work, just way too aggressive. And it ends up costing you here in the second game. It denies you the 2-0, but it is going to be potentially a 2-1 win for VGA. They are still just one game
Maybe.
away from being able to take the total of this winners final and go into the grand finals for the Unified Majors League. But we're going to be right back, and when we return, game number 3 will commence. See you guys later. Welcome back, everybody, to Virtue Gaming. VGA, Virtue Gaming Ambition. They were able to win game one, but kind of dropped the ball a little bit there in game two, and now have to beat out the Homeless Grads in game three to be able to secure their spot in the grand finals. My name is Moose, and I'm joined here today by TDS. And I mean, TDS, now blue side for VGA. The Sivir is available if you want to pick it up. It has been a very strong B1 pick,
Oh.
but no, we are actually going to get the Ari for number 2 Ginger.
So for game three, they adapt, change sides, change bans because they took now the Olaf ban into the repertoire as well as the Kali ban. But instead opting for the Ari pick. Now, I don't want to be critical of the Ari pick because even though I do agree with you that Sivir has been much more contested in terms of first pick, for last games in series, typically players or at least teams tend to go for what's more comfortable for them and what gives them more confidence to try and get the win, right? And Ari is one of those champions for Ginger. So I think that that's the idea that they want to go behind with this, especially because if they do have a strong champion for one of the stronger players, maybe they can play off of that much more convincingly. But I feel like for a first pick, though, I don't think Ari would have been contested, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and that was like kind of the option here is like you could have gone for the Sivir, you could have gone for another priority B1 pick. Instead, you decide to go for the Aura. You do reveal your mid lane hand, and it does allow for Homeless Guardian or Homeless Grads to then go for the response early on. And they decided to go with the Azir. They want to hold off on the support pick because they don't know what the bottom lane is going to be yet. So they decide, hey, we're going to go in for the Azir. We already know what the counter is going to be. They are going to know now that it is going to be the Draven. Now let's see what the response
Renata.
is in terms of support. Renata would be a great choice here. Let's see if VGA decides to go for it.
And I was already thinking about the Draven. Like I was thinking, just opt Renata Draven here. You can go for this. It works out quite well. We've seen it time and time again. And even if they opt for something like the Nami or the Nami Sivir bot lane, like I think Renata Draven is a bit stronger. Instead, it's going to be potentially the Brom here as a pick. And I honestly, if it gets big, because it's a hover, yeah, it's a hover. I don't want to just immediately say that it's going to be the big. But what I like about this pick, particularly if it goes through, it's the fact that it has great disengage. Particularly against Ari, you have the shield as well as having the I forgot the name of the ultimate. And it is not bait. The ultimate works really well against Ari because it's not only just taking away from her mobility, but she also gets a bit slowed, which against an Ari is always a great thing to have.
Yeah, Glacial Fissure going to be able to have the opportunity to knock up multiple members, but then on top of that, you are also able to slow, like you said, you do get that slowing zone. And you look at Homeless Grads R2 and R3 picks, a ton of zone control in this composition so far. And so looking to be able to keep that zone in their control. Gragas is going to get banned out. 67 having a great game with it in game one will not be available. Aatrox, though, little Nate played a phenomenal Aatrox game in game two. So both carry top laners that we've seen from both teams are going to get banned out early on in the second phase of pick ban.
Cannot disagree with the ban from the Gragas. I think that makes a lot of sense. The Aatrox, a respect ban, I think that with Poppy up wouldn't have been bad, but Poppy gets taken away, and this now opens even more things towards the jungle position and top lane position. I'm expecting Homeless Graduates to go for a jungler here. Viego, Wukong are options that always stick to mind. Surprised that the Wukong has gone over so much. Even if it's not the same Wukong that it was from previous patches, the value is still there. I think Trundle as well could be an option, especially with low mobility champions like Nami and Draven could be an option. Instead, it seems to be the Jarvan. Still applies the same logic because low mobility champions, Jarvan can get on top of them. And without the spell shield, you're not denied quite a lot of their damage. But Tidal Wave may come in really handy for this.
Yeah, I think Tidal Wave can still put in work and maybe a little bit of a flex for Homeless Grad saying, hey, anything you can do, I can do better with the J4 pick here in the jungle. Let's see what the response is, though. Sejuani would not be a bad option. You do get a little bit of zone control yourself. You do get some slows. You do get some stuns. So Ari's going to be able to maneuver around the map a little bit, or around the team fight a little bit easier. The Nami Tidal Wave is going to land a little bit easier as well. So I do enjoy the pick. But now you've got to be able to round out the composition. You don't necessarily have a front line yet. A tank would probably be good here in the top lane. Maybe even a Darius, for example. Let's see what they go for. Oh, okay. Phew.
I'm not a huge fan of this. Not because Listen is a bad pick or anything. Well, it's not a great pick either. Like you have to. It's more on the player than on the champion itself to really showcase its prowess. And I feel like for this game, having something like a Trundle could have been a little bit better. Like I just feel like Trundle this game around with the taking away from the stats with the pillar could have been a pretty good jungler to play off of. And I think for what BG already had, having more chunkiness would have been ideal. Now, Nara, it's the pick that gets answered here by Homeless Graduate. I think against the Sejuani, it's not a bad matchup for Sejuani, but it's not a bad matchup for Nara either. And it's not going to be a good matchup for Nara as well, either as well. Like it takes a lot of how the player can get the best of the traits and how the ignite advantage that the Sejuani typically takes in the top lane will be played out. Because if Sejuani doesn't get a kill with that ignite, you're pretty easily gankable, especially with a Jarvan. And I want to see how Homeless Graduates take advantage of that situation in the top lane.
So there's no scenario where Sejuani is the jungler and Lee Sin is the top laner, right? Like there's no scenario. where
There
that's the
is.
case.
There is, but I feel like it's the same where Jarvan is the jungler, is the top lane, and Nara is the jungler. Like it's just
Fair.
so unlikely because of how far away we've come from that meta where Lee Sin used to be a top lane that I don't think it's the case. Now, I do want to mention, because it is like the case for the Lee Sin, it was one of the counters that you typically pick against the Gnar in that lane when it was meta. So Sejuani can still perfectly fine jungle, and Lee Sin could go into the top lane against particularly the Gnar. But I just simply don't think it's the case. Like it's been way too long, and I feel like BGA would rather have that early game prowess from the Lee Sin, right?
Yeah. Something's got to be wrong here because I'm sneezing up a storm right now, so I'm allergic to something in this draft, and
Well, one has fur, so I think it has to be that.
yeah, probably, probably. But you know what? Oh my goodness. No, that's not it. There's something else that I do not like about this composition. And is it the lack of frontline for VGA? Is it the Lee Sin just feels really, really strange. I'm not gonna lie. Like
Yeah.
like knowing that you had the Sejuani in the B4 and then to go for the Lee Sin, you don't have a front line. Like you don't. Like I don't think Lee Sin Sejuani is enough of a front line to be able to stay alive enough.
Sejuani is fine. Lee Sin is not.
I disagree with that. I mean, it's gonna take yes, Sejuani does have some damage reduction with her passive, but once that gets taken away, Azira is going to be able to deny that relatively easily. Sivir's going to be able to take that away relatively easily. So
Yeah.
I would have preferred maybe a tank in the top lane, or if you're going to put Sejuani in the top lane, then maybe go for something like a Volibear, for example, to go up against the J4 in the jungle. But I'm not the one playing. I'm not the one playing. I'm not the one that is a master level player. And considering that there is so much on the line for this game, you have to think that both these teams have definitely thought their compositions out. They know what it is that they are trying to go for, and they've got a strategy and mind to give themselves this game 3 win. CDS, what's your prediction for Dragon here in game 3?
Mountain. I'll go with PG this time around. I believe in them, in their jinx.
Mountain?
And I think it's Mountain. Yeah, Mountain. So let's go.
I'm going to go back to Hextech. It's going to be a Hextech Soul and Rift here in game 3. Folks, let us know what you guys think the Soul and Rift is for game number 3. When we come back, it will be the conclusion of this best of 3 for the UML. We'll be right back.
Take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkest skies. The champions of a world that we defy. A soul ray of the few who rise up high. best when the curtain falls. Risk it all, hold nothing back. Seize the day, we must attack. Stars are rising, countless worlds colliding. Only one will take it all. Can we bring to fall the giants? Can we make the final call? We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of a world that we defy. A soul array of the few who rise up high. And we all fight at the Can we bring to fall the giants? 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 We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies. The champions of a world that we defy. A soul array of the few who rise up high. And we all fight at the
Welcome back, everybody. We are here and we are live for the conclusion of this best of 3 series between Virtue Gaming Ambition and the Homeless Grads. To conclude this series and give one of these teams a ticket to the grand finals of the UML. My name is Moose and I'm joined here today by TDS. What has been the most surprising part of this series so far for you, TDS?
Can I say that Ari skin? Because I think I've never seen that.
Really? Let's take a look at that
Can I-
Ari skin again.
Kind of interested, actually. Yeah, is that a KDA skin or a recolor or like? I don't know. I feel like that feels like KDA with a recolor, but at the same time, I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely KDA.
Okay, perfect. Then I'm not just blind. But actually, speaking about gameplay, I think to me the thing that has held my attention the most was that second game from Dylan. Just complete clear contrast from the first to the second game.
Right. Really, I mean, it's been kind of a back and forth kind of battle here with Homeless Grads. I mean, really being able to show off the early game that they wanted. I mean, maybe kind of given to them on a little bit of a silver platter, but VGA knows what they have to do in order to beat Homeless Grads, and that is beat them at their own team fight game. If they are able to get onto even footing in the team fight, I think that they have a really strong communication. They have really strong macro play, and they should be able to give the Grads a run for their money, but they cannot give early kills and early advantages over to their opponent. That snowball is just so difficult to come back from if you do not have a contingency plan.
And I feel like particularly more so for this game where you're playing against both Seer and Saver, two of the best scaling champions in the game, you would be playing against your own win condition if you give them any sort of advantages early on. So I expect BGA to try and play aggressive to a certain degree, but aggressive in a way that they don't just throw away the game immediately by 15 minutes.
Right, and now the opportunity here is for VGA to show us, they are in the winners finals for a reason. They were undefeated in their regular season here in this series, and they are the Victorious Triumph Series champions. Like, they are not a bad team. They might have just had a bad game, and they have the chance to be able to show that here today.
Ooh, already flash blown in the bot lane. Great first gank by Homeless Graduates, trying to put pressure onto the Draven, which I think it's a smart idea. Just as I think the side of BJ should put pressure onto Draven so that he can try and carry, they need to put pressure against him.
67 though, gonna be playing as that Sejuani, should be able to be just fine against Little Nate, especially when Little Nate is in Little Gnar form. Now it is up to maybe Virtue Gaming to go for their play here in the jungle, as it does look like the Scuttle Crab is going to be taken by Dylan. Wards were placed, so Project Panda and Arsenals will know that the Lee Sin is there. So instead of going for the play, they do decide to maybe go for the rugs instead, as we've got Savvy. Maybe they're going to be able to go for a jungle or a mid lane play here against number 2 Ginger. Nope.
Similarly though, I saw some pings coming in from the side of PGA, so they should know that Jarvan was on the bottom side and that he will take towards the top side. Now they're pinging even for the top side, so they know that he's on the... I like that they are trying to keep track onto the Jarvan as well, so that there's less of a chance of a gank happening that could just mean the game.
Yeah, and that's, that comes with hours and hours and hundreds of games of repetition there from these players. You recognize, you're able to say, okay, we know that Jarvan did not have blue buff going into that gank in the bottom lane. We know that he probably had to go for it. He's maybe trying to go for a play, and now the response here from VGA, they're going to be able to land the knock-up onto Project Panda. The teleport does come through. Arsenals, we down to about half HP. Flash is blown, exhaust is blown, but no kills.
And both summoners coming in from the Nami were in that fight, as well as the two from the bot laners coming in from his Graduates in the flash and exhaust of the Sivir. This could be a repetition play coming in later on by the Listen, but he's going towards the top side, so this may take a while before we actually see some sort of aggression coming in once again in the bot lane.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, right now, yes, you're level 4. Yes, your ganks can potentially work for Dylan, but you really want to be able to get level 6. You really want to be able to get that Dragon's Rage, which was a mistake that they had in game 2. They tried to go for that bottom lane play with that Cataclysm, and it ends up costing them so much control of the game so early on. As we do potentially get our first kill of the game, 67 is going to be in trouble, is going to be taken and hit by a ton of damage, going to be able to get the knock-up onto Little Nate. Little Nate is going to try to be able to pick up first blood. Will he be able to get it? He does! But it will be a 1-for-1 as Dylan will be able to take down the Gnar.
And here on the side of 67, a bit of a mistake, both by committing so hard to try and get the bait down, and then also coming back, showing his back once more before running away, really could have meant the difference between dying there or not. I think there was a small window where if he just decides to run away with Ignite down, that's it. The Listen gets the kill and you don't have to worry about anything. But stayed just a little bit too long. Still ended up being a 1-for-1. You denied a pretty important wave of minions in the top lane. And also, the Gnar was down in teleport. So the Sejuani now doesn't need to utilize her teleport to try and come back into the lane. And that means that there's still a teleport potential play that the side of VGA can play off of. Although I don't expect it to see because it's so early on in the game anyway.
Could have potentially just gone for the teleport anyway if you're 67 and just gotten up to lane a little bit sooner, but decides instead to just roam into the mid lane, maybe go for a play, as we do get the Emperor's Divide on the Phoenix main and on a Lokidosi. There is no flash, but Lokidosi wants to try to be able to pick up the kill. No! Platypus survives with less than 100 HP, and Arsenals picks up their first kill of the game.
Nami, for the sake of surviving herself, could have maybe taken out the Asir just as the Nami gets taken out as well. But it ends up just being a 1-0 in favor of Homeless Graduates. Another pretty good play that we see on their side, and they are really trying to get this early game going in their favor once again.
Yeah. Now, because Platypus was forced to go out of that flash, now potentially a play from Dylan here. Nice use of the spell shield from Arsenals to be able to avoid the Sonic Wave. Platypus did have to go back, so there is still the opportunity for a potential dive here from number 2 Ginger and Dylan. They are looking to try to go for it. Instead, they will go for the Grump. Just try to take away some of these neutral camps from Savvy.
I am a bit surprised, though, that he didn't try to go Dragon's Kick, especially with the spell shield down. It's easier to try and get down the Dragon's Kick because there's nothing to try and block it out. Now, I do like that there's also the respect because of the distance between the bot lane and the Lee Sin, and especially because Lucky Dozy still wasn't even in lane, then it could have been a pretty disastrous play if they ended up failing. So there was a window, but I think it's better to not overcommit, especially after how the previous game went, right? And he still gets something.
Yeah, I mean, over-aggression was the problem from VGA at, this point in the contest. They had given up several kills to homeless grads that were not necessary. So wanting to play a little bit slower here, I think that there is a difference between playing reactively and playing passively. Let's see what they decide to do as we move into a play here at the Rift Herald. Savvy is going to be level 6, 67 is going to be level 7 in a 1v3. Want to try to be able to pick up Savvy. Can he do it? He gets the Ignite, and he does. 67 will be able to take down Savvy, and now Dylan is on the way. They want to try to be able to pick up the Rift Herald. They're not able to do it, but it's Little Nate that's going to be the target of potentially a kill. They get one, and Platypus, maybe. Oh my goodness. I love that Emperor's Divide. Great Emperor's Divide from Platypus, going to be wasting a ton of time before dying. Does get hit by the charm, is going to fall, but man, that looked pretty.
It was nice, and it also blew the flash off the Ahri. So it was a kill that, yes, goes into the pockets of VGA, but it wasn't traded for absolutely nothing. Now, they did lose the Rift Herald, but they got back a couple of kills. And I want to see what they can do with the time that was bugged thanks to that kind of play. The teleport that we talked about previously meant that now Sejuani can actually get some plates in her favor. And if the Rift Herald doesn't achieve a lot of gold, thanks to the play that they went for, this could actually just turn into a massive win for VGA.
Yeah, very importantly as well, Little Nate was the one that had to pick up the Rift Herald, so Savvy cannot drop it in the mid lane, cannot drop it in the bottom lane. It has to go to Little Nate, who might just, be able to pick up the first tower of the game in the top lane, but no real turret damage onto that top tier 1 tower. You do have a ton of protection in the top lane, so very unlikely that this Rift Herald is going to be able to get much effect.
And more times than less, we see the Rift Herald being dropped in the mid lane or bot lane because of how much you can accelerate your own carry. Now, dropping it on the Nari is not bad either, but you really don't feel the same effect when you try to consider about it. It feels like it's just going to be to collect those plates immediately and nothing else, which I think for the Nari is completely fine, but like you were talking about, it's not going to be the same effect as if Salvi was the one that had it.
Now potentially going to be a play bottom side, would be a 3v3. J4 knows, and I don't think J4 was able to see number 2 Ginger, so this could potentially be a 4v3 dive, and they are going to go for it. They're going to be able to find out where Dylan is at. That's a great Dragon's Rage into the hands of number 2 Ginger. Are they going to be able to pick up the kill? There's the wall and the Glacial Fissure. Number 2 Ginger is so close to death and dies. Oh my god, disaster for VGA as Project Panda with the Ignite will be able to pick up that kill.
And it actually looked so pretty on the start. It was Dragon's Rage into the chunk from the Ahri. Miscommunication, I think, with Loki Dozy, though, because if Loki Dozy throws out the ultimate before or at the same time as they are going for that play, that has the chance of being a pretty
Oh my god, 67 completely whiffs the Glacial Prison and does not get the kill against Little Nate.
Good Smithy, I gotta say, even though he doesn't get the kill, that's pretty good Xmithie coming in. But talking about the bot lane play, or finishing on the bot lane play, I think the disconnect with Loki-Dosi's ultimate at that point really could have changed things, because that's a pretty easy kill that they get with the execute, and then they just get a pretty good advantage. Oh, well.
My God, 67 does still retaliate and will be
He
able to pick up the
walked.
kill against him.
He walked forward to try and fight the Sejuani and just allow for the stacks to get there.
Hmm
It's
Oh
a
yeah,
good kill
stacks
by
on
67.
stacks on stacks.
Yeah. Like, it just worked so well for the Sejuani. And Lee Sin didn't even have to do anything. He just had to be there to apply fear. That's it.
Yep. I was scared. I actually thought the little Nate was going to be able to take that 1v1, but no. The
Honestly,
extra resistances, the stacks.
I honestly
67 was able to
both
survive.
both of us were scared because of different reasons. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was scared because of little Nate taking the kill. You were scared because somehow Yumi was going to come back on the stream.
Yeah, somehow she was going to pop up, even though she's banned away. She was going to make a surprise appearance and throw everything into the garbage. That's how it feels with Yumi, though, and with Soraka. But she's never.
You
going to get
really
picked,
do
so-
not like Yumi. You just despise cats.
No, I see. I'm fine with Yumi until a certain point. I despise Soraka. I will wholeheartedly say that. Like, I hate Soraka with all my life, and I would rather see her deleted from the game before anything else.
My goodness.
Yumi is fine until a certain degree. Like, I dislike her, but not that much.
My word, you're so mean towards Soraka. She's
Screw that
just
goat.
she's
Screw
just
that goat.
oh my gosh. A goat, she's a unicorn. As number 2 Ginger is going to try to go up against Arsenal's here. A great tidal wave, a great cataclysm. Dylan, though, going to be able to get away with the safeguard. Project Panda's going to flash
Jarvan.
forward. Dylan's going to be the target. Shutdown is going to come
they
in,
get
but
it.
is number 2 Ginger going to be able to take one? That's going to be two. Going to be Platypus being able to take down Loki-Dozi, though. So it's a 2-4-1. 67 wants to be able to pick up the kill against Little Nate. Can he do it? He's going to miss it. He's going to get hit by the stacks. And Little Nate will take down 67 in a 1-for-3 play in favor of the homeless grads.
And talk about disaster. In the whole transition of that play, they forced the commitment over on the side of BGA to try and get something down. But the amazing shield, I think the tidal wave was good, like you were pointing out, but Project Panda with the shield, the brawn value of this game is so high with that shield, denying not only the tidal wave, the charm, the damage of the Draven, and then the kick was forced out of the Lee Sin to try and just create a space so that they could attack other members. Because if not, it was just going to get soaked completely by the Braum. And even then, Braum still finds so much value. Great team fight taken by the side of Homeless Graduates. They get a pretty good advantage off of that. They don't even allow the Draven to get the kill. And then they also get the kill in the top lane. Oh, another fight?
Yeah, another fight going to come through. Little Nate is about half rage
think
as
they
the
have to give this
dragon
up.
is going to be the target. Will Dylan be able to get it? He's going to be able to go for the Sonic Wave. Who gets the dragon? No one quite yet, as the dragon does come in.
Oh,
It's going to be the
no.
steal from Savvy. And Dylan will fall. Arsenals is going to come in. It is going to be a Hextech Soul and Rift. I am correct in game 3, but number 2 Ginger is going to be forced to use the Spirit Rush, trying to be able to get away from Little Nate. Great predictions from Little Nate. Arsenal's going to be on a killing spree.
Yeah, and with that Mega Gnar, he doesn't feel that little. It ends up being another kill coming in from the side of Homeless Graduates. And they even get the Skull Crop. They are getting anything that they want at this point in the game. They're just playing so well off of their aggressiveness. And it feels like there's not a lot that BGA can find. Like, I don't think it's not like they don't have their windows, but they are just getting so well closed by the side of Homeless Graduates, and they are making the most out of their own windows of opportunity in comparison.
3-0-3 now on Arsenals. You know, considering the early game that we saw in or the first game that we saw from Arsenals, not even being able to pick up a single kill, to now being the carry that we know Sivir can be. What a turnaround for Homeless Graduates. VGA, I mean, the last couple of minutes, they have dropped the ball. And I have to really applaud your analysis there, Project Panda. Unbreakable, being able to block a ability from every single member of VGA.
It just feels so strong.
So
right?
valuable. Yeah, so valuable.
Like, it just takes so much away from what BGA wants to do. And it feels like it's not like they cannot or they do not want to make something happen. It's just that they're simply not allowed. And one Q from the Braum can just mean dead.
Okay,
Dylan,
Dylan.
it's fine.
Yeah, not going to get hit by the Cataclysm, but that could have been the
Little
case. 'Cause
Nate,
Little
though.
Nate, Little Nate, almost full rage, is going to try to go in. Phoenix Mane is going to be slow. Phoenix Mane is going to be in trouble, and Phoenix Mane is going to go down. Savvy will pick up a kill as number 2 Ginger does decide to teleport in, cannot land the charm, and things for VGA go from bad to worse.
And they cannot even fight this unless Sivir here mispositions horribly, which is not the case.
Oh my god! What a massive Mega Gnar into the Emperor's Divide. Platypus is going to be able to get some heroics in as Lokidosi will die. And there is nothing that number 2 Ginger could do to be able to stop it. They lose another kill in a very sweet play.
I wanna call BS though, because I don't know how the Draven was a stun when he was thrown away from the Azir wall and even from the wall as well. The hitboxes in this game are really wonky, but still the play is great. They get another pickoff in favor of Homeless Graduates. They get the Rip Herald now as well. Could look for another turret if they want to. If not, they can still buy time. Like, their composition is ahead in a game where they shouldn't realistically be ahead. Like, they are fine being behind by 1k or just equal until 30 minutes. But they are ahead at this point of the game. That's completely fine by them. And as long as they don't mess up completely, this game should be pretty manageable at this point.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, the draft is just feeling so much better for Homeless Guardians, and I'm really waiting for Dylan to be able to pop off here on this Lee Sin, because at the moment, 2-2-2, 114 CS, it's a fine stat line, but really, what impact have they had? 2/3 of the kills, maybe, but I feel like Savvy has just been able to be so good with those Cataclysms. And of course, you know, we've seen Project Panda 1-0 and 4. It's a really tough uphill battle right now for VGA.
It's a tough uphill battle, and I want to see what creative way they can find to try and turn it around. Ari, I think, has to ulti out, yeah. Although here comes Dylan.
Yeah, Spirit Rush gonna come in. Dragon's Rage coming through from Little Nate. He's going to miss the ult as we do get 2 teleports gonna come through. Little Nate is gonna be the target, gonna get charmed. Little Nate will die. Number 2 Ginger is gonna be able to pick up 1 kill and a little bit of a rebound for VGA. A double for number 2 Ginger with Dragon spawning in 44.
And that is certainly the start that we want to see for BGA, the start of the potential comeback that we want to see from BGA. They find a pretty good angle to fight. It was on Lil Nate forcing the play, but I think number 2 Ginger answered accordingly. The teleports timed correctly, and it felt like they could manage the situation much better because there was no Braum. So almost nothing that they actually utilized in this fight was going to get denied. They did lose the mid lane turret, but I feel like with how the game was going, losing this turret is completely fine compared to what they gained. And they even forced out the teleport of Lil Nate. There's no chance that the Seer can come through.
Okay, yeah, Platypus is going to be on the way a little bit. The charm is going to land! Arsenals is going to be the target here and is going to be able to get shut down, but it is going to be a 1-for-1, going to be unstoppable before getting shut down by Lokidosi, who's now going to die as well. Little Nate will be able to pick up that kill in a 2v1 situation. 67 with 3 stacks of that Braum passive, will still be able to stay alive for the time being, going to be able to avoid the boulder, wants to stay alive to maybe give VJ a chance at this dragon. Savvy going to be down to about a quarter HP. Phoenix Mane and number 2 Ginger, though, looking to be able to do what they can. Little Nate is going to be able to avoid the Aqua Prism, going to be able to get the boomerangs onto Phoenix Mane. Little Nate is going to be in trouble. 67 is going to get stunned, going to be able to make up the kill against Little Nate. Can he get any more? It's going to be a stun from Phoenix Mane as number 2 Ginger tries to go in for the heroics. Not going to be able to get it, but he does try to go for the charm, does not land it. Dragon will go over to Homeless Grads in a very bloody battle.
This is the kind of games that I wished we have repetitions, or to see how the fights end up going. Oh, wait.
Okay, Dylan wants the kills. He wants the play. He's going to be able to get the Sonic Wave onto Savvy. He doesn't go for it. He still wants it, though. He will give it up.
I think he's respecting the potential, the Emperor's Divide from the Azir. So even if he tries to go in, he just gets pushed away and he loses on the damage. So, like I was saying, this is the kind of games that I would love to have repetitions for, because in that fight, I don't talk about the one from the Seer and where the Seer and the Gnar ends up dying, but the one after where the Gnar teleports in. They get a perfect engage onto the Sivir. It was a flash charm from Ginger that connects onto the Sivir without being able to skip. But once again, it just feels so pointless. I like, as an ARI player, this feels so sad to play as, because you connect one of the best charms that you can in that situation, and every bit of your damage gets completely denied by the Braum in that situation. And then everyone cannot come close to the Sivir. The Draven has to walk towards the Cataclysm to then be able to get the kill. And he ends up dying.
Okay, Platypus gonna die. Dylan's gonna take the kill as Arsenal's just gonna go with the on the hunt. Dylan is going to be in trouble though, gonna get hit by the glacial
Look at
fissure.
Loki though.
Going to be knocked up. Will still be able to get away. Number 2 Ginger tries to find the charm. Is gonna be able to land it onto Project Panda. Sonic Wave will come through. That's gonna be the end of the play in the mid lane, but 67 wants to try to be able to pick up this tower in the bottom lane.
So they do get a pretty good kill onto Platypus and potentially destroy it as well. But once again, look at Lucky Rosie on the side. It feels like he cannot join the fight in any way, because he just cannot come too close. If he goes too close, one Braum Q, you're dead, because you're stunned immediately and you cannot run away fast enough. So it just feels so hard for Lucky Rosie this game to try and be not proactive, but get some sort of damage down. I also think that this game he could have opted much more for the Kraken Slayer build, because he didn't get the huge lead that we saw in the first game. So I think that instead of going for a much more consistent damage dealing kind of build, would have been much better for him.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the build right now, Eclipse into Essence Reaver, it is somewhat conditional. Like you said, you have to deal damage in order to get kills, and Eclipse does allow you to get that damage. It's just a little bit congruent on being able to stay in that fray and being able to get those extra little bit of hits that you're not going to be able to get with Kraken Slayer, because you don't have Kraken Slayer. Because like you said,
Yep.
Kraken Slayer giving you the extra on-hit effects, or the extra hits as well, so you're able to get in that extra bit of damage. But we're going to take a little bit of a break here. It looks like we are going to be in a pause for a little bit. At the moment, VGA is not out of the game, but it definitely is still feeling like an uphill battle.
Just feels so hard. And the one thing that we commented on was the outscaling, or the potential scaling that the side of I hate so much.
The grads, homeless grads.
Homeless grads. Like, I don't know. I've said it like 30 times and I still blank on it when I try to think of a point. But yeah, homeless grads just have that kind of so well rounded out composition in terms of scaling, where yes, Jarvan may not be that good of a scaling champion, but he will be equally, if not a little bit more useful than the Lee Sin because of the kid. Then you have the Gnar and the Sejuani, essentially two tanks, one with a little bit more value in the side lane and a Mega Gnar that will come in pretty handy. And then the carries. When you compare the carry for carry, Draven and Ahri are not that good compared to Sivir and Azir in the later stage of the game, because with more items, Sivir just feels stronger, and the same with the Azir. And that's something that feels scary for BGA, because their windows are closing much quicker. They need to find something that can really turn around the situation. And that's without talking about the biggest issue that they are facing, the Braum, which is denying every bit of damage from them.
Would you say that it's a Bromblem? A Bromblem?
Yes,
A
but no.
Bromblem?
Yes, but no. I don't want to follow up on that.
Problem?
I don't want to.
It was good. It was good. It probably would be a banger on like IRL. Like you would have caught on a little bit better, but
maybe my sense of humor is scuffed, since I hear dad jokes essentially every day of the week.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, my sense of humor in that regard at least is scuffed. But I do think that it's a Braum problem.
It sure is a Braum problem.
Yeah.
I think that we can all agree that I think winning this game, if the game does win, it is going to be Panda and this Braum pick that has been able to do that. The Unbreakables have been extremely valuable. Not only do you stop Tidal Wave, but you also stop Spirit Rush, and you also stop the Whirling Death from the Draven. So 3 major ultimates in this kit, all denied by a single champion. And this was a draft that VGA knew that they were going into.
Yeah.
They ended up picking the Braum was the R3 pick, so it was genius to pick it, knowing that the Ahri, the Draven, and the Nami were already picked up. But then you complement the build for VGA with a Sejuani and a Lee Sin, both with projectile-based attacks as well. Braum just gets to have a field day here in this game, and
Ooh.
we've seen it have good effect.
Look at this pick though.
Okay, 67
Arsenals?
wants Arsenals, who's out of position, and he gets it. 1-for-1, right as we get back into the game. Baron is on the table. It is a 24-minute Baron. You could potentially go for it. Risky, though, but hey, maybe that's the play that you got to go for.
But at the same time, 30 seconds without Arsenals on the map, as long as they don't lose a lot in terms of turrets or positioning, that's completely fine. And I feel like, if not for the fact that they didn't get an assist onto a Draven or onto the Ahri, that is a great play to be able to pull up. Like, it's still a great play. It's just sad that they didn't get that extra bit of gold. But this is the kind of thing that they need to do. Slow down the game, push them back in a way. Take the windows that you can and try and get something back in your favor. Getting river control, this on the Gnar could be a good potential pick as well. They have a lot of vision control that they can play off.
They do, and they know that they could potentially try to go for it. They're not able to get the pick, but because of the force off, they will be able to get river control. They didn't check the bottom side of the river, so there is going to still be a little bit of vision there, but they still at least have river control moving into this dragon, spawning in 20 seconds.
And now it's what they can do. Oh, wait.
Okay,
Luka.
Logidos is going to be the target here. The tidal wave does land, as well as the Aqua Prism
Charm
on the
didn't
Savvy. Oh my lord, very close charm. It does not connect. And now, Homeless graduates are going to be able to pick up river control for themselves. A big ultimate is not going to be available, as number 2 Ginger is going to be utilizing the Spirit Rush in that last play. Doesn't have it available for this dragon fight. It is now available, and they have the opportunity to go for it. Let's see if maybe VGA wants to potentially stay in this fight.
Can Lee Sin try and steal it? Can he try and do something to make it work out? Ginger on the side, I think that this is a smart idea to try and get the charm potentially in a good place. But that Spirit Rush, like you're pointing out.
Yeah, got the charm going in. Dylan's gonna go in with the Dragon's Rage. Can't even get it down. As the Whirling Death is massive amount of damage. Gonna be able to take down one and the steal. Oh my god, Loki Dosi with the heroics gonna be able to take down one, as Little Nate is gonna try to flash forward, does not get the Mega Gnar that they want, and now Loki Dosi is gonna be able to pick up one kill, wanting to try to be able to pick up two, as number 2 Ginger will be able to take down Savvy, maybe. No, Savvy is still alive.
But this is better.
Yeah, this is really scary here. Phoenix Main is going to try to be able to speed up number 2 Ginger. Spirit Rush will be used. That should be the kill. It is. Shutdown going over to number 2 Ginger in a 3-for-1. 3 for nothing. I don't know, 3 for 1 in favor of VGA.
Lee Sin died. Yeah, Lee Sin ends up dying, but that is such a big play for BGA. They get shutdowns. They get the dragon plus the bounty, and honestly I think that they could have gotten the Baron, because the timing on which Savvy T dies, it's actually so disjointed from the timing in which Dylan responds. They would have had a solid 20 seconds to try and go for the Baron, in where there is no jungler for the side of Homeless Graduates. Now, I respect the fact that they are trying to not overcommit for plays, which with their disadvantage makes sense, but ignoring all that, they still got a pretty massive win in that dragon fight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not only did 2 of those kills go over to Loki Dosi, but he was also able to steal the dragon as well. Now is a 350 gold bounty.
I think he got a full item off of that.
Yeah, LDR now. LDR is now available along with another dagger. So just about, TDS. Just about. So let's see if they can continue to keep that momentum going, as now number 2 Ginger maybe going to be the target here. 67 is available, though, so not going to be able to go in for that play, as river control near the Baron Pit goes back to Homeless Graduate.
This is the kind of things that I wanted to see, though, right? Like, picks, fights, better decision-making off of BGA that really can turn into something meaningful for them. And it turns out, like, this time around, they have played 2 great fights in which Braum has not been a big problem. And even in the last one, he died so quickly.
Yeah. And because Project Panda, they now know that he is the target. If you are able to eliminate that Unbreakable, and then you allow for number 2 Ginger and Loki Dosi to be able to get the damage that they need, to be a huge turnaround here for VGA to be able to continue to keep this momentum going. And let's see if they are going to be able to do it. The next big objective is that Baron or the Dragon that is spawning in minutes and 20 seconds. You know that both teams are trying to go for it, but it's right now VGA with the river control. They're not allowing Savvy or the rest of Homeless Graduates to be able to drop those deep wards that they need to be able to get that vision control.
And for the composition that VGA is running, it's even more important that this kind of control is getting obtained. Because Lee Sin thrives off of flanks. Sejuani can be a better mid shield if she doesn't have to face check some sort of immediate attack off of the Seer or the Saver, and then get immediately stunned. And then you can set up better for a Charm from Ginger as well, or just a better tidal wave positioning, or the Draven being in a much safer spot as well. All in all, this is crucial for VGA to keep as much as possible and not allow for the control to be given up as easily. If they can look for a pick instead, I think that's still fine. But as long as they keep river control, it should be really hard for the side of Homeless Graduates to just outright force a fight without having to pay some sort of price.
Yeah, and I mean 67 really just being on ward duty here, being able to make sure that the river control is there, but it's mid control for the Homeless Graduates right now, and they have decided that they're just not going to try to play the vision game at Baron. They know that they've been able to stop the Baron from being attempted, so they can now go for vision control near the Dragon, which is spawning in 50 seconds.
Which feels like the most kind of calm and collected decision that you can go for, especially when you just took such a big losing fight. It's, okay, we have to cut our losses short. We have to try and turn around for the situation. We still have the scaling in our advantage, so we just need to take the game once again, one step at a time, and not overcommit. And I feel like that's pretty smart coming in from Homeless Graduates. And for VGA, they, even though I like that they opted into controlling the river, and that is perfect for them, they still need to push the issue a little bit more, because they are not going to win the scaling battle at all.
Not yet, and not really will they be able to,
Draven's backing.
Homeless Graduate Platypus now with 3 items on Arsenal with that Sivir means that you just have so much control in terms of these team fights if you are not able to target them. Let's see if they are going to be able to do that, though, as 67 is going to be the target of some damage. Going to be able to get away from the boulders as Little Nate loses Mega Gnar form. Going to be the mid lane going back to about neutral here. At the 31-45, both minion waves will be able to meet in the middle. There is no change there. Dylan will be able to find Sonic Wave onto Savvy. River Control going to go back over to Homeless Grads as both teams want this Baron. 67's going to be able to get a massive Glacial Prison onto 2 members. Little Nate is going to be the target, though, from number 2 Ginger. Not going to be able to land all of the damage that he needs with that Spirit Rush. Still has it available. Still trying to be able to move forward, but Little Nate is going to be able to go back in the Mega Gnar form. Going to get charmed. Going to get stunned. Still going to be alive. As Phoenix Main and Dylan are going to try to be able to get Savvy T and Arsenals and everyone else to go onto them. Phoenix Main is trying to be able to run away. Phoenix Main will die, but that's 5 very low members on the Homeless Graduates. That's going to be 1 going down. Project Panda will fall. 67 going to be able to take a little bit of damage as Savvy T and Little Nate down to about 100 HP. They cannot contest at Baron. The healthiest member of VGA is Arsenal's at half HP, and they know it. 67 tries to be able to take down Arsenal's, going to be able to get the airborne knockup. Going to try to be able to pick up the kill onto him. Will use the Glacial Fissure to do it. And now Dylan going to be able to get the Sonic Wave onto Savvy. Platypus is served up on a silver platter, and VGA pick up a critical ace.
Importantly, once again on the Dragon, get the teamfight win, get the Dragon, and now look for the Baron potentially. And this was such an important fight on how they needed to take it. The engage off of 67, I honestly thought that it was going to not be that good because of who it was on which initiated the fight. It was on the Braum. But crucially, much more so than just the engage being initiated on a member or anything like that, it's how it made the teamfight impossible for Homeless Graduates to play out. Because it's not the fact that you initiate on a target. They separated 3 members or 4 members from the rest of the team, and Gnar was on the side after that. in Mini-Nar form, which is the easiest one to kill. And I really love that BGA played that fight, separating targets, trying to kill the Gnar. Gnar essentially never ulted in that fight. And that was such a huge issue for Homeless Graduates because their damage dealers were separated from their tank. The Jarvan couldn't find an angle to actually force the fight. And the Braum shield was down by the time they actually were able to come back together. So at that point, your damage actually will be meaningful. Great team fight by BGA.
And such a momentum turnaround for them. The last 3 team fights have gone into VGA's favor, and they have been able to establish control of this game. Baron is available, and now let's see if they can do something again, as number 2 Ginger and Logidosi are going to be caught in the Cataclysm. Logidosi is going to get stunned, and Logidosi will die. Shut down, going over to Project Panda.
They left their flanks open. With the Baron buff, it's a pretty important buff, but it left their flanks open and they took the advantage.
No.
I don't think there's a game-winning push.
BGA. The inhibitor is going to be the next target, and they will be able to get it in Arsenals want to try to go in. Glacial Prison is available for 67 if he wants to try to go for it. Can he find the angle? Can he find the way to make it work? They do not engage. The charm does land on a Project Panda, though. Unbreakable will not be ready. Azir does have that turret up in that inner tower, so that's going to be a little bit of protection, and it will be protection enough for them to be able to walk away.
It's an inhibitor going in favor of Homeless Graduates, which is a nice thing for them, especially with now not having the Baron buff. So taking a bit more to actually push these waves is good for the side of Homeless Graduates, but for BGA, they don't lose the game out, which is first and foremost the most important part. It means that they still have a chance to try and turn around the game. I think that they have enough of a potential push with the Baron buff to at least be able to open up the enemy base. And if they can open up the enemy base, there's a lot of opportunities for them to try and just play off of a split pushing, which they have done with the Sejuani. But it feels like this game is just going to go towards that next dragon once again.
Yeah, a lot of standing gold on the Rift here for VGA. All 3 inner towers that are available for them for the taking. And they've got the opportunity to try to maybe find Savvy T here. Whirling Death will get used. He's not going to fall. 90 seconds remain until this dragon spawns.
Surprised that they did connect the charm and the Glacial Prison onto the Jarvan, but they didn't try to commit a little bit more. At the same time, maybe the lack of vision made them not want to go overboard with that. But it's those kind of picks that really can make the play go in your favor in this kind of point of the game. I don't think nothing should... Yeah, nothing ends up happening, which it makes you think, but yeah, nothing ends up happening there.
Yeah, and, you know, you are able to back off right as the Baron does go down for number 2 Ginger. That locks in the Rabadon's death cap. A 4-item Ahri is definitely scary and has been able to get the gold advantage against Platypus, who for a majority of the early game had the gold advantage. So really, really big for number 2 Ginger to be able to have this really strong rally here in a 37-minute game. It was not looking good for VGA, and then they have one of the best team fights that they could possibly have, and they get everything that they want out of it. Dragon will spawn in 30 seconds and could be potentially a game-deciding fight.
And once again, river control for BGA. They could opt into the fight immediately, but Charm goes wide already.
Yeah, Charm is not going to be available. Sonic Wave does land. River Control going to be back in for VGA as Phoenix Main is going to be forced to flash away. Can Phoenix Main survive as he gets a tidal wave onto several members? Phoenix Main survives, and now number 2 Ginger is dominating. Going to be able to get the Spirit Rush for a second kill against Homeless Graduates. Little Nate is going to be the 3rd target of this siege, and that's a double kill for the Lee Sin. Phoenix Main survives. Number 2 Ginger gets the damage, and it's VGA with 4 kills to nothing. They can go for the dragon. They can go for the base. They can go for whatever they want, and it looks like they want to go for game.
25 seconds for the, or 20 seconds for the Azir to come back. I think they can push for game, especially because it's Azir. Like, one glacial person could actually be enough to actually just kill the Azir. But that's such a bad fight coming in from Homeless Graduates, and for the advantage of VGA and for how well they played it out, they managed everything from Homeless Graduates so perfectly. They focused on the Nami, which I gotta say, I think it's not a bad idea if they can burst her out before. But it's Jarvan forcing in on herself. She can run away thanks to the flash. And once again, disjointed team fight. They separate members. They have to run away on the side of Humbless Graduates, and that's the perfect situation for BGA because then Ari can run them down. Draven can run them down. The Lee Sin can run them down. Those are champions that thrive in those sort of chaotic situations. And BGA just gets the best out of the fight, and even secure the soul as well.
This I don't know about you, TDS, but here in 12.14, this is the fourth 40+ minute game that I am going to see this week. Insane.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, insane how long these games have been, and this is at the master level. Imagine how pivotal this next fight is going to be. But at the moment, BGA, it runs the show. A 6,000 gold advantage, which is irrelevant at this point. What is relevant, though, is the Hextech Soul that is now on all 5 members of VGA. Being able to get that static Shiv slow gives you so much control in a team fight, and they
67?
are feeling confident to go for it. 67 is going to be able to get the Glacial Prison in a massive flank. Project Panda dies, Arsenals goes down, and it's a beautiful team fight once again for VGA. They pick up the 4 kills to nothing. Once again, they can go for another inhibitor, and they can surely go for game.
Yeah, it's just a mid laner pushing on the mid lane. There's the Ahri already going to try and respond, and this should be it. They have the minion wave, they have the damage dealers, they have the means to push to win. And it was looking bleak. They had to pull off a lot of good plays to turn around this game, but they did. And I want to give credit to one of the players. Like, to me, this is the champion and the player that won the game. 67. Those flanks, those engages, those fights where he just essentially disrupted everything. He created the chaos for the Braum to not be valuable at all. And to me, the player of the game, 100%. Really carried the game at the end.
Player of the series. Without the Gragas in game 1 and without the Sejuani in game 3.
Yeah, I feel like for the 2 games.
I don't know if VGA would have won. You're absolutely correct. The disruption that the Sejuani was able to put in was so pivotal. And I was doubting it. I was doubting the Sejuani top lane when the Lee Sin was picked. I'll be the first to admit it. I was. I said, I do not understand what's going on. I don't understand what's going on here, but the fact that 67 once again has such a phenomenal mid to late game gives VGA the win and a ticket to Grand Finals, but man, did the Homeless Graduates give them a run for their money.
They really tried to take them off of them. They tried to play as hard as they could. It was a pretty hard game for the side of VGA. And I think Homeless Graduates honestly had it in their comp to really play it out. And I think that for VGA, it took them a lot of crazy ways or crazy ideas to try and turn around the game. Because if they just played it straight from to back, I think they potentially lose because of the champions that were on the side with Sivir and Azir. And I think that creativity and that way of trying to play around certain conditions in teamfights really showcase the caliber of how the team plays and how well of, I don't want to say machine because if they were a machine, they would be perfect, but how well of a unit they are together. So I think that it goes to win a lot of what VGA can do. And it doesn't take away from some of the mistakes that they had because there was a lot of mistakes. But those are the things that feel better to correct when you can go to the Grand Finals knowing that you are still going to the Grand Finals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like you and I, we were definitely critical of VGA, and I think rightfully so. Game 2 was not good.
It wasn't perfect, yeah.
It was not a good game, but great teams have bad games. And it's how you rebound after that is how you show yourself as a fantastic team. You and I both know that VGA is a fantastic team, and we get to see it once again here today on Virtue Gaming's main channel. What a phenomenal series, but before we go, we've got an interview coming in, folks. Logidosi, the ADC from Virtue Gaming Ambition, is now on the mic, hot and ready to talk to us for today. Logidosi, congratulations on a hard-fought win.
Thank you. It was It was pretty hard. That game 3 it was pretty dreadful.
We're not. I mean, like I said, I'm not lying to you, Loki. It was, for lack of a better word, poop. Not good.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean,
Not very good.
we I don't know. The way that I see the game was they should have won this game. I personally believe they have a lot better of a draft. The fact that they were not able to win this game, considering the lead that they had early, is just a testament of like how well we can play, even when behind. And to me, kind of proves that we are in the spot that we need to be going into grand finals.
I think
Totally there.
that's
And
fair.
I wanna, the first question I gotta ask you, I mean, moving into these games, you guys, I think feeling confident as a unit, you guys have won leagues this season. You're now going into the winners finals matchup. Does this series, like, do you definitely feel the pressure, recognizing that, going into grand finals, this is a best of three series comparatively to like a best of five? Does that change your mentality in, say, games 1 and 2?
You mean this game that it was a BO3?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
normally it's like a best of
it was
5, and so
strange. It was strange
I
to
was
me, um,
surprised.
because it is kind of like a high risk game. For it to be decided in a BO3 does feel a little lackluster. I mean, regardless of how many games it is, we're going to be winning the majority. I'm very confident in that. But yeah, it does kind of change how we view it, because game 2 was like, we see it as a fluke, right? That was like a really bad game. I don't even really know what happened. I just like held down tab at one point and saw that like my top side had 21 deaths and I was 1-0. I was like, well,
It was like
I,
limit testing.
I was like, well, I mean, we just go game 3. It's fine. Like it
Right.
happens. It really does happen. Like I didn't play perfect. Game 3 was like really rough to play into that match. So yeah, I was a little worried at the start of game 3, but then we had the call to make the game chaotic, just play how we play, and we really took it back.
Which I think is the game changer because, like you're pointing out, I don't like to sugarcoat it. If I think that something will win, I will call it out, and if I think something will lose, I will call it out. And I thought that by the point that they were post 30 minutes, Severus here, more times than not, if you're playing straight front to back, you should be able to win if you've had the Asir and the Saber, especially in the spot where they were. So the fact that you were able to create enough chaos, turn around the game, I think it's amazing. And to me, I want to call out a little bit more to what were the kind of calls that you guys were trying to pull off? Not trying to get any sort of deep information or anything like that, but was there kind of a strategize that you were going to go for those sort of flanks? Where were you going to go to control the river at some point, or did you just say we get here first, we force the fight, and if we force the fight, we win?
Well, when it comes to dragon fights, we knew it's really hard to walk into them blind, right?
Yeah.
But there was at one point our jungler said they have a really strong mid jungle combo. The Lisa and Ari is like it's really powerful, and he's called that we should be playing to like find picks, play to that towards that strength, and like hopefully I can get to 4 items where I'm actually able to start playing the game against their like long range. And so that was the call, and we just started noticing their mistakes off of the call. Like there was a time where Sivir walked all the way up top lane to collect a wave. We just Sejuani R into it. Like we know she's recalling there, and it's just a really free kill that like again opens up the game even more. And we need to play to our strengths. We drafted the Draven Nami. We have Lisa and Ari. We're really good at kiting back. Like, and that happened in one of the dragon fights. The one where I stole it. I don't even know how I stole dragon. I just autoed it.
Not gonna lie,
It
we
was a
don't even
crit.
know how it
Thank
happened.
you.
Yeah, it was, but
Yeah.
I think the Jarvan didn't even use smite.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, I crit it for like I think 658, and I got it. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna
yeah,
YOLO throw it in, right? Like I
that
just
was
might
so
as
much
well.
damage.
And then that fight, we just kited out. We played it really well, and yeah, that was pretty much the plan. It was just really just try capitalizing off of all their mistakes, because they're not a perfect team. We're not a perfect team. Each team will make a lot of mistakes, so it's just whoever punishes them more at this level.
Yeah,
It
I
really went
wanna
to
I
show.
wanna I wanna shout out you and Phoenix Man. Like, I was really lauding Phoenix's Nami in game 1 and even in game 2, just having some really strong tidal waves, and then you as well. Your Draven plays. you had some really pivotal dragon fights. Like there was a dragon fight in game 1 and in game 3 where it was decided because you were able to lock down the right champions with your axes and were able to pick up that damage. And trying not to get into strategy or anything like that, was this a like is Draven like on the rotation now? Is Draven part of the meta? We've seen it coming through. Are we gonna see it again from you guys, or is Draven more like a comfort pick? Have you played it before in the past?
So obviously to not give up too much detail, but we kind of gave our hand, right? The series where we were picking the Draven to Sivir. We can I talk like can I like be mean? Like can I cause some banter?
I
Like
feel like it's fine.
their bot lane, we knew going in they were really weak. They're just a weak 2v2. Like they're not like you saw it from them game 1. Like we didn't even have like a perfect lane. Like we didn't expect the karma, and they just let us. I ran him down. Like karma missed RQ. I ran him down. I got 1,000 gold. The game's pretty much over. Like we
Yeah.
knew that they were going to be their weak point, and so we went into the game knowing that we can exploit their bot lane. And they picked Draven. I mean, Sivir every single game. Draven's really good into Sivir. That's like one of her weakest matchups. So we played that way to get that. Try gaining a lead. They didn't quite work out game 3 because they picked Braum, which honestly was pretty big brain. That was like the thing that
That-
made me the most worried. Because it
Like there was that one fight where the Ahri gets a perfect charm onto the Sivir, and you have to literally walk towards the Jarvan Cataclysm to even get one out attack onto the Sivir to kill it. Like that at that point I just saw and I just thought, damn, I would hate with all my life playing this game as either Ahri or the Draven. That is
Dude,
just so
dude. I would have like probably like broke my keyboard if I misclicked because Braum was standing right
yeah.
on top of the Sivir, but like I knew going into it I was gonna die. But Sivir had 1,000 gold bounty. I knew if I got it, I could actually start playing the game.
Yeah.
100%.
Like it worked out, but
Yeah, TDS, any follow-up questions?
I feel like the only other thing that I could think of is not necessarily if this reveals or anything or like that. I was surprised that you didn't prioritize much more Renata coming into the third game as well, considering how strong she can be.
I do really like Renata. Like I think Renata is like probably I think it's very like easy to say she's the strongest support, but we knew that if they went Sivir Renata, we would win. We just would win.
Okay.
And that's why we were giving it up.
Oh, so it was more a play for to allow you guys then to take away from them. Okay, I feel like that's fair enough.
Very good. I mean, I feel like, we've been talking about this series and, we were like here at the desk, we were somewhat nervous moving into game 3, but, TDS and I, we've had the privilege of being able to cast for you guys all summer split. Throughout the VTS and then through here. So we've seen you guys perform. We know how well you guys can play, and you guys, continue to perform and now are at the chance to be able to get to grand finals. Is the money on your mind?
I mean, I've been playing amateur for a long time. I've been playing amateur for 4 years. I've probably won more leagues than like a lot of people in the scene, and it's never really been about the money. Like it's nice, but like these leagues never like have a monetary incentive that's like large enough for me to actually like, make that the deciding factor. I just really like playing with a team, and like I like the competitive environment. I feel like it makes me better as a player, and so that's always my focus. It's always more so about improving as a unit and as an individual, more so than getting a couple $100.
That's what I like to hear. What I like to hear. And yeah, I think that really brings in a good point of I think why you guys have been so successful. You guys have, you have that competitive edge to want to play as a unit, and you guys want to be able to continuously improve and do your best. And you think that playing in a competitive environment makes you play better. So, shout out to you guys. Any shout outs you want to give out to the fans, the teams, anything like that before you head out?
I'm gonna shout out Hiccup1357. She's goated with the sauce. Then honestly, my jungler, my mana, my Ginger, like my whole team, like Ginger's a really great manager. He's like definitely one of the best I've had. He's always really on top of like scrim schedules. He does it like all by himself. Our coach wasn't able to make it, but he's pretty good when he's not drafting me a bad bot lane matchup. I like him a lot when he doesn't do that, and yeah,
Respect all.
yeah,
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But
Keep
hey,
drafting me good lanes. Thank you.
yes, please draft good names. Please draft good lanes for sure. But hey, and with that being said, though, Loki, thank you so much for stopping by. Congratulations on the win, and best of luck in grand finals.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for casting. Thanks for the exciting night. You guys are always really good when you cast, so much love, much appreciated.
I took it with love, and hopefully you guys can really perform finals. Like I'm pretty sure you will, but it's still good luck with that.
Yeah, I think so too. Should be easy 3-0.
Okay.
But
Very well. Very well. Well, hey, Loki, thank you so much for stopping by. Appreciate you as always. And with that being said, TDS, another cast in the books. Best of 3. We ended up taking it the distance to game 3. Any final thoughts before we head out?
I feel like apart from being thankful that you guys have me once again on a cast, I was feeling pretty lonely today. I didn't have anything apart from playing games, so I'm glad that I was able to cast a little bit. Also, my sellout moment. Follow me on TDS Casts. It's not here. Bench is a bad person. He doesn't put my Twitter, but it's TDS Cast at TDS Casts. And then follow Moose as well. Wait.
Yes, follow TDS at TDS Casts. Follow myself on Twitter at Moostcaster. If you guys enjoyed the content, please do not hesitate to follow Virtue Gaming as well as their Twitter, and then join the Discord as well to be able to continue to get updates on all of the Virtue Gaming teams and content that they are putting out throughout the summer split. If you guys are, continuing to enjoy all that fun stuff, the Virtue Gaming Discord is definitely the place to be. With that being said, on behalf of all the players, the coordinators, the staff here at Virtue Gaming, TDS, Benjamins, and myself, this has been your content of the UML Winners Finals. Ends up being a 2-1 victory for Virtue Gaming Ambition. Very, very nicely done. They will head to grand finals. And with that being said, stay safe, stay healthy, and take care.